Everybody, it's your girl, Lady She from Hot Mic with Lady She Podcast. I am your host, Shanice LeBird. I am super excited for this evening's interview. Listen, y'all, I've known this young man since the beginning of time. Since he was a young man, since he was out there doing things, since he was doing music, all different things, I watched God just do miraculous things in his life. And now he is just blessing others. He's helping to change lives. He is the relationship mechanic. I am super excited to have him share his story. I also want to make sure I thank our sponsor for today's episode. Two episodes in one day. We have Chase Money, the brand, who blessed me with this nice crop top sweater. Love the colors, fellas. Make sure you guys go check them out at chasemoneythebrand.com. Check out their website. They got some amazing things. Talking about from vinyl to embroidery to DTG. They got whatever you need, and they even do customized. They have coats, they have jackets, they have everything. So make sure y'all hit up that website, or you guys can hit them up in the inbox on Chase Money the Brand. Excuse me, on Instagram. Or you can hit up Chase Money Butter on Instagram. One word, and do your thing. We out here supporting each other, y'all. That's how we create communities. That's how we create an entrepreneurial spirits. That's how we create entrepreneurial wealth, and we keep everything growing. But we're gonna bring in Mr. Jamel Jackson real quick and see what he got to say. The mechanic, the relationship mechanic, y'all. Let's go. Good evening, sir. Can you hear me, fella? Let me see if you can hear me. Can you hear me? All right, let me go back in. Hello.
All right.
What's going on, Jamel?
What's good? We live? We good?
We are live. We are good. How's everything going, sir?
Man, everything's good right now, man. I'm feeling wonderful.
All right, I'm gonna need you to sound like you're feeling wonderful, Mr. Relationship Mechanic, because we here, we trying to see the tools, the hammers, we trying to see the screwdriver, we trying to see all that, because we need help out here in this world.
Listen,
We need your expertise.
the name of my business is Fire Iron Consulting. And if you don't know about what a fire iron is,
Tell us what a fire iron is.
it's that small metal rod that sits next to the fireplace, and you use that to stoke the flames. You use that to stir up the gifts inside of people. And so innately, that's the gift that I have. If I talk to somebody from 14 to 45 minutes, let's say 35 minutes, after you leave my presence, you're going to know why you were here. You're going to know who you are, because that's innately my gift. That's my niche. I was asking God a couple years ago, I was like, what is that one thing that innately I know how to do? And I had the image. He deals with me with images. Mm-hmm. So an image of a fire iron appeared. And I was like, whoa, you know what I mean? I'm a researcher. So I went into researching a fire iron. It's like I said, that small metal rod that sits next to a fireplace. So when the flames are low, you got to stick that thing in there and poke around and stir up the flames and move the logs around. And if you connect that into the gifting, because he also deals with me with scriptures. So he connected the scripture to that. For those who are in scriptures, you know what I mean? And it was talking about Paul when he was talking to Timothy. He said, I need you to fan into the flames. I need you to stir up the gift. And so the fire iron, as a relationship mechanic, those are the tools, two of the tools that I have in my hand are fire irons. And when I get you, I got you.
When I get you, I got you. Y'all heard that? I might have to make him a shirt that say, when I get you, I got you. Period. Yo, I love it. When I get you, I got you. That's it. That can go a whole bunch of ways. And I love that. Yeah. I love that.
But so I don't do everything. I don't do marketing. I know some stuff about marketing. I know some stuff about this, but that's my niche. That's that thing, that fire iron. Like if I'm talking to you, if you got a business plan, you could be talking to me and it's something that an alarm will go off in me. Like, you know what? You need to do this. I don't be having all the ins and outs of, but I know when that moment happens, the flame rose and I see it and I'm like, this is what you should do. And if you take heed, I'm telling you, it's going to work. That's the one thing.
Yeah.
Once you see the gift, then that's when it's like, well, I need marketing. Okay, I'll point you. You need to talk to that person. Well, I need this. Okay, you need to talk to that person. I'm not going to act like, I do all of that. No, I don't do that.
Right.
I don't do none of that.
Good. You stay in your lane.
One thing I do know is I get that gift up out of you.
Right. Yeah. Listen, we need people to start catching on to actually staying in your lane and it being okay. People need to start being comfortable with staying in the lane where their gifting is. It's not
Mm-hmm.
okay for you to just be tapping into everything and taking people money. Like, it's not okay for you to be selling dreams out here when people are very serious, because people want to be okay. Nobody just connected with people just because they want something from you. So your gifting
Mm-hmm.
is innate, that as soon as you have conversation with people, they start feeling like, oh man, I'm inspired, I'm encouraged. That's a good thing, that you can stay in your lane and say, this is my thing. The dynamics of it, no, I cannot help you, but I will direct you to someone who can absolutely do that. And that's cool. We
Mm-hmm.
appreciate that for sure. So now, Mr. Relationship Mechanic, how did that come about? Like, besides, what you just gave us, tell us who you are first, for those who do not know who you are.
Man, without going into too much detail, I
Go
like
into
to
the
just sum
detail.
it, go into the
Go for it.
But here's the thing, because
The
there's
hot
there's
way.
there's many gifts, there's many gifts inside of this package that God placed in the earth, and I'm a father. I have two kids, two children. Well, no, dang, my son is a grown man. My son is 20.
He like Raj age. Hold on a second.
My
We
daughter's my
cannot do
daughter's
that.
11. To the people, I'm a servant. I have a servitude mentality. So to sum it up, I'm a servant, a
Mhm.
relationship facilitator, coach, but a servant. I like that position better without going through all these accolades. I do have some credentials. I got a master's degree in management, bachelor's in science. I'm about to pursue another master's in family and therapy counseling. I have some Bible college certifications. But without all of that, at the end of the day, really, I'm just trying to serve the people, man. I'm an
Love it, love it,
author.
love it.
I have a book called The Value of Relationships.
Go get that
Have
book,
a
y'all.
powerful podcast called The Value Podcast, where everything we talk about is centered around relationships. That's
Go
it. I'm an
subscribe.
evangelist for accolade purposes, but at the end of the day, man, I'm trying to serve the people. Because here's what I found out.
He's a
This is a chapter in
lyricist.
my book. Oh, I do music. Yeah. See,
Don't
I
even
normally
throw it
don't
out there.
point
Don't
out.
even throw it out there like that. He don't do music. Don't play with him. Do not play with my bro, okay? He's a beast. I don't
Man,
know what he's
appreciate
doing
it.
right now. I don't know what he's doing right
Appreciate
now.
it.
He's a
Thank you.
lyricist.
Um, the chapter called "Finding Success in Serving." I like that because I like that servitude because it depicts the story of Joseph, and that's a powerful dude right there. Like
Right.
I always say, um, finding success in serving. Most people want to be the Pharaoh. Most people want to be in charge. They want to be the boss. They want to be the be all, the end all. But I love Joseph because you understand his story. He has just as much say so as the owner.
Explain that.
Everybody wants to be the owner, but if you look at Joseph's story, for people who may not know the story of Joseph, go
Yeah.
pick up the Bible and read the story of Joseph. Even if you don't believe in it, trust me, the story is applicable to your life. And the
Mhm.
story of Joseph is Pharaoh eventually puts him over the whole entire, not city, not state, the whole
Tell them who
entire
Pharaoh
country.
is.
Pharaoh is this Egyptian leader
Right.
who let's just say, for his name, for lack of better terms, Pharaoh would be Biden. Joseph
Okay.
Biden. Joseph would be me,
Mm-hmm.
a regular dude
Mm-hmm.
that all of a sudden I'm working in the White House. I'm cleaning the floors. I'm cutting the grass. I'm tending to the cars. I'm driving people around, valet. And then Biden has a dream. And I'm like, he's going to all his people around him. He's going to people in the Oval Office. Tell me about this dream. I had this dream. Nobody can interpret it. He goes to Joseph. Joseph has the spirit of God on him. Let me add that point. And he goes to
Right.
Joseph and he says, somebody tells Biden, like, yo, Jamel, he can interpret dreams.
He can interpret
So Biden
dreams.
talks to me and I say, all right, this is what that means. So
Mm-hmm.
therefore, I save the country based off of interpreting Biden's dream, which Biden had a dream about a famine coming. So I interpret the dream. And on behalf of that, now I have this favor from Biden that says, you know what? Since you save America, if anybody has anything to consult about, anything, any questions, any concerns about life in the country of America, not in the city of Washington, he said, look, anything, talk to Jamel. And
Yeah.
this is the servant.
Right.
But most people want to be the president
Mm-hmm.
because they like the accolades. They might just want to be in charge. And there's nothing wrong with being a CEO or being in charge of something, but I'm not rushing into that type of position. Because I
Gotcha.
realized, now his thing, I realized that the servant has just as much say so as the president. Think about it.
Mm.
He said, if anybody has any questions, don't talk to me.
Right.
Talk to Jamel. Talk
Mm-hmm.
to
Talk to
Joseph.
the one with the gift.
Talk to the one
Mm-hmm.
with the gift.
Mm-hmm.
That's powerful. It never
Yeah.
talks about how angry the people might have been, because I know everybody in today's time. If I just get all of a sudden on CNN, they like, anybody got anything to say, talk to Jamel. Man, they gonna be like, that was the
Truth.
dude that was cutting the grass yesterday.
Truth.
We gotta consult with him.
Right, right, right. Say
Hold on,
so.
hold on, hold on. Man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Listen, I love it. I love it. I love it.
People,
So
listen, man. Hold on. No, I'm gonna stay in this vein because you started it.
go ahead. Let's
Look,
go. Let's go. Let's go.
say you have somebody has a business and people come into the business and they like, oh, I want to be in charge. I want to be in charge. I could use this. My bro don't mind me being transparent. Me and my partner Dave, he owns a brand and I've been rocking with him for 7 years. There's a
Shout out to
transition
Shans.
taking place now, and it got to a point where I never wanted to own it. I was serving. But what I was learning, so this, especially you learn so much in that position that it was like it got to a point because most people caught up in their image. Oh, people, because most people come to me, man, you should be owning this. You should be doing this by now, Jamel. I was like, no, you don't understand what I'm doing here.
Come
You
on,
missed the
Mel.
servitude. You don't understand.
Come on, Mel.
Oh my God, this story. Let me just. I'm trying to stay. Calm me down. Here we go.
Guy, get him.
There was a point that it got to a point where you didn't need to talk to Dave. You had to talk to Jamel.
Mm-hmm.
This is not no toot and horn thing.
Come on. Come
But
on.
now the servant has just as much say so as the owner. And at the end of the day, we shared the same mentality. So I like to depict this story. Whether people believe this or not, it still could be applied. This biblical story, you got Jesus and John. John's out there baptizing people in the wilderness, but then he tells the people, look, there's somebody coming. There's a dude coming. I can't tie his
Right.
Timbs. I'm unworthy to even get down and lace up his Air Forces or deal with his sandals. And he's like, look, this dude is coming. He's the illest of the illest. And Jesus shows up on the scene. This is powerful because he shows up on the scenes. He's like, and John is like, and Jesus like, I need you to baptize me. John like, no, I need you to baptize me.
Okay.
Jesus like, no. I need you to do it. Here's a servitude mentality. He said, I need you to do this right now. So everything my father said up to this point comes to pass.
Comes to pass. That's the one.
There was an exchange of servitude taking place. And when we understand those positions and it's equally exchanged and mutually given, the business takes off.
Right.
At every business, there should be wherever there's a spirit of a Joseph in a business, that business is going to succeed.
I love that. Spirit of a Joseph in every business. Woo!
Yeah.
That
we
was
started?
good.
Did we start?
Bruh, we done started. The spirit of a Joseph should be in every business. I love that. Because people need to understand that the gift of service, it is a gift. Everybody
And in
doesn't
your
have it. Everybody doesn't
and in your
have it.
relationship.
Yeah, of course.
Man, his thing, to some extent, a relationship, a marriage, committed relationship is somewhat of a business.
Right.
And then if they, and even in that type of situation, if you got that person with that type of spirit, man, you got a whole nother thing on your hands right there.
Power.
It reduces the pride levels.
Mm-hmm.
Because people be prideful in these streets.
People do be prideful, and that's how you can see and understand when it comes to even just tapping into relationship thing, having a relationship with God. You can tell when people are spending time with God. It will show up because what's in you is going to come out of you. So if you're not spending any time with God, you're going to be looking a little rough around the edges. If you're not spending any time with God, you're going to be going through some stuff in a whole other way from someone. Yes, we all go through things, but you're going to be able to tell if you've been giving God your time. Just like in your relationship is going to sour. It's going to fall to the wayside if you are not giving that particular person time, even in their giftings. You got to be able to respect and see where your giftings lie that brings you guys together to stay cohesive. And that's what happens. People don't communicate. People are not, always transparent. People don't even always want to accept their weaknesses in the relationship or their weaknesses within themselves. So if you're struggling with your insecurities, it's going to show up in our relationship, and you're going to almost be penalizing your partner for your insecurities that you don't want to deal with or that you don't even want to be transparent about. So, help us tap into that when it comes to relationship between man and woman, and and marriage. I would love for you to tap into that through this segue.
I was literally just having this conversation with somebody about maybe It was about 2 hours ago. And, they were dealing with something. And I was like, it's interesting because we're all broken.
Yeah.
So even when you're saying time with God or the level of the strength and the weakness, we're all broken. Everybody walking this earth is broken. My thing is, if you're willing to identify your brokenness and do something about it, then we can ride.
Yeah.
This goes for every relationship, friendships, family, business, but specifically talking about intimate relationships. I realized that my partner's broken.
Mm-hmm.
I'm broken.
Mm-hmm.
Therefore, if his thing, the kicker is if I identify my brokenness and I'm willing to do something about it, then we could continue to move. Now, if this person can identify their brokenness, they clearly see that they're broken in this area, they don't want to do nothing about it. Then I have to question, are we going to continue this journey? Because your brokenness that you identified and you don't want to do nothing about it, it can leak over into my destiny and my development. And
Absolutely.
now your brokenness is part of my brokenness and it's wearing on me because I'm not designed to carry this weight. And now I'm getting emotionally unstable, physically unstable, let alone I may be spending money on stuff that I don't need to spend it on to try to carry your brokenness.
Mm-hmm.
And you identify. Let's take the depiction of, because when we go down that lane, then people would say, no, you just got to stick and stay and just ride it out
Come
and
on,
just
Mel.
pray for them and just go through it. Yes, to a certain extent. But here's where the relationship mechanic comes and brings the mallet to this stupidity of counseling, whether
Mm-hmm.
it's from spiritual or practical, because you can't force people to do nothing. You can't force
Right.
change. I'm
Right.
not saying you just do away with a person and quit, but my thing is if you identified your brokenness, whatever that brokenness is symbolic of, and you don't want to do nothing about it after we've counseled, we coached, I've sat with you, we've had mature communication, conversations, and you're like, I still don't want to do nothing, or it's showing in your actions that you're adamant, you don't want to do anything about it. It could prohibit my destiny. Perfect depiction. We're in a car. We both can see this car symbolic of our relationship. We both can see the gas is on E.
Mm.
We see it on E. We identify this brokenness. It's on E. I'm like, yo, we right the next gas station on the corner. You like, no, I don't want to stop. All right, we
Ha!
keep on. And here's the thing, me being in this is an example. So you in the relationship, you're like, okay, you know what? All right, I'm gonna tolerate the brokenness. Let's just keep traveling. They don't want to do nothing about it. Then it's like, yo, we on E, like the next exit. I see the gas station. Let's get off and get this. Let's get some fuel so we can continue this journey.
Yeah.
Let's do something about this brokenness so we can at least continue the journey. I'm not mad at your broken area. You're not mad at mine. We cannot both identify that it's broken right here. We need gas.
Mm-hmm.
Boom, right past another gas station.
Come on,
Now, in a
Mel.
relationship, and then here's the thing. On this journey, you got people in the back seat. They may be friends, family. Then on the radio, you might have the pastor on the radio and everybody saying, just stick it out, girl. Just stick it out, man. I understand that, he got that floor, she got that floor, but no. They're not willing to do nothing about this tank on E.
Come on. That's
If you
it.
ever drove a car, there was time where I was driving, this was years ago, and I thought I could make it. I knew I should have went to that last exit, or I knew I should have went to that last gas station because I was on E. But I'm like, no, I can make it. And I went to go up the ramp, and the car just, I don't know if anybody ever had this experience, but it's kind of terrifying because
It is.
I could have died. The car just stopped, locked up, stopped. It's cars
No
coming
gas.
behind me, swerving, moving, and jumping, and I'm like, oh snap! Now here's the thing: I gotta expend some money because I gotta get the tow truck to come. Still gotta get the gas.
Come on, Mel.
Now, if I would have adhered to the empty sign, the light, the brokenness, and said, you know what, I'm broken right here. I need to pull over and get some gas. I need to fuel up for this journey. I need to go to therapy. I
Yeah.
need to go to couples counseling. Now, if somebody's in that relationship and they're ignoring that, I guess I'm going answering a little more in depth, and they're ignoring that and continue to ignore that because I was just having this conversation with somebody. And I know somebody listening or watching is
Come
probably
on.
dealing with this, and they probably been in that situation, sitting there just thinking that he or she, I could fix them. You can't fix.
You
First
can't
of all,
fix
you can assist.
nobody.
You can't force change. They don't want to do nothing about their brokenness. At some point, you have to come to a definitive decision and say, you know what? It may get to an ultimatum where you come to them and be like, look, I've done this. I've done this. I've done this. You kept passing the gas station.
Mm-hmm.
With this is about to destroy me.
Right.
I'm not belittling you. You literally know that the tank is on E and you don't want to do nothing. I want
Mm-hmm.
to do something. You don't want to do nothing about your broken area. And it's not like you don't know, you clearly know. And for some people to make that decision, I don't want to say it's easy because it is difficult, it's challenging because I was in that position because I was married 11 years. And there was a point where I had to make this decision if I was going to stay or if I was going to leave. And I was telling this person, I remember being right outside the mall, pacing back and forth, like, man, God, thinking about everything, the years, the time that I spent, the times that we were together in the park, movies, all these emotions, anniversaries. And in that moment, it was like something dropped on me like, Jamel, the time you have left, this is going to help somebody. I'm telling you, serious.
Ooh, come
The
on.
time, the time that you have left is more valuable than the time that you spent. And
Ooh,
when I
my
heard that, I
God.
was like, hold on. So I typed it in my phone. But what it did is it settled my heart where I was able to go and make the decision like, you know what? I want a divorce.
Yeah.
Because that word was hard to come out of my mouth. That wasn't me. I was a longevity type of person. And I'm not going to go into too much detail of what occurred or what happened, but it's in my book. People get the book. It's in there. Um, but that moment, that phrase, the time I have left is more valuable than the time that I've spent. Now, this is for somebody that has exhausted
Free
all their
somebody.
stop at the gas station, stop at the gas station, stop at the gas station, stop at the gas station. You know what? Here's the ultimatum. You don't want to stop at the gas station. You don't want to do nothing about your brokenness. I love you dearly. It doesn't stop me from loving you, but your brokenness is leaking over into my life. And I realize the time, you might not say this to them, this phrase, but it's in your mind and your heart. The time I have left is more valuable than the time that I spent. Think about it. The time that you spent, you can't do nothing with it. But the time that I have left is so valuable because it's untapped destiny, it's untapped purpose, it's unforetold stories, it's laughter that I haven't even laughed at yet. It's
Yeah.
experiences I haven't even experienced yet. It's so valuable. It's unseen. Is it easy? No, but the unseen, the value of that is so much more valuable than what you spent.
Right.
It almost goes back to that. Now I'm hearing that verse, that biblical verse where he says, why worry about tomorrow? Tomorrow has enough trouble of its own. But it
Mm-hmm.
says, it's also saying, don't worry. But
Don't
see, when you
worry.
focus on what you spent, if you like, man, I've been in this relationship for 5 years, or I've been married to him or her for 10 years, all the time that I spent, I can't see myself leaving them. They don't want to do nothing about their brokenness. So therefore, now I've reached a crossroad where I'm like, okay, Jamel, I heard Jamel say the time that I have left is more valuable than the time that I've spent. I think I'm gonna make this decision because what is ahead of me, the unseen is so much more valuable. You
Yeah.
don't know what's gonna happen. You might make that decision and the next day be the best day of your life. You don't
Mm.
know. But guess what? It's more valuable than what you spent. The enemy, or let it alone, people in the back seat or whoever's on the radio wants you to get caught in the time that you spent. Look at all
Mm-hmm.
that time you spent, girl. Y'all got 3 kids. Y'all got 1 child. Or this happened right here. This y'all 5th anniversary. Don't look at, oh man, you talking about, man, all of this is the time that you spent. Okay. But once again, this brokenness is trickling over into my well-being. Now I'm becoming spiritually unstable, mentally
Yeah.
unstable, emotionally unstable. I'm spending money that I shouldn't be spending. And this person is just looking at the tank on E saying, we can make it one more gas station.
Ooh, come on, Mel. Come on and free somebody with that. Free somebody with that. The time I have left is more valuable than the time I spent. That's a word.
Think about it. If that
That's a
car is
word.
on the if that car is on the highway of life or back roads or wherever you are, you ever been on a back road and your car is getting low on E and
Yo,
you
scary.
even said it to yourself, I'm gonna just keep going. And you
Ooh,
pass the gas station. And luckily you make it, but I've been in positions where it just didn't make it up, and I'm sitting there in the middle of nowhere, and that's how we're sitting in the middle of nowhere life with this person, or some people are about to kill themselves.
yeah. Come on,
They're
Mel.
on the
You
highway
talking
of life,
right.
and the whole thing done shut down. The
You
journey
talking
done
right.
shut down.
Yeah.
God forbid. I mean, I've heard of domestic violence stories, not to make this a domestic violence podcast, but it's
Mhm.
women somewhere now you're laying on the ground and your
Yeah.
eye is busted and your lip is
Mhm.
busted because he ain't want to do nothing about his brokenness.
Come on, Jamel. You better say that.
And you thought you could make it to the I could make it. we can go to the gas station. We go to counseling next week. I'm gonna get it all together. I promise you. And this is not a message of people choosing to divorce somebody today or leave somebody. But since we're talking about brokenness, you know what I mean? We're all broken. And it goes back to if you're not willing to do anything about it. Because I know sometimes I say that and people be like, well, yeah, they not doing nothing about it. So what should I do? That's what I believe you should
There
do.
you go.
I'm not going to be one of these people that say, stick and stay and keep missing the gas station. Heck no, man. If my car on E and we keep passing it and passing it and passing it. Think about it.
We gonna die. Period.
It's detrimental to my life.
We gonna die if we keep passing. We gonna die.
My life at jeopardy. So if my life's at jeopardy, God forbid if I have kids, that means my kids' life is at jeopardy.
Right.
My friends and family are gonna miss me. I'm on the highway with you, and you don't want to go to the gas station. The car locks up in the middle of the highway. Ain't no time to be like, oh, let's try to push. No, this is it.
This is it. This is it.
So before we get there, look, you can keep rolling. I'm getting out at the next light.
Come on,
and what that next light look like, I don't know. Look, I'm getting out at the next light. I might have to call somebody when I get out. Right. I might have to walk.
Say that.
Look, when I start walking, trust me, I'm not gonna be walking forever.
Say that.
But I know how to walk. Sometimes you got to start from ground zero. That's
it. Clean slate.
But if you trust in God, at least you know who you starting with. I can start from nothing with God because God got everything. So I start from zero. Is it gonna be hard? It's gonna be difficult. It's gonna be challenging. Yes, it was difficult and challenging for Joseph. But the one thing that Joseph knew, if anybody could catch this, Joseph always had this analogy and this thought in his head that God is with me.
Yeah.
And I'm not even trying to be like, because some people may not even understand God like that, but they have even the little bit limited knowledge you may have of God, the little bit of belief that you have, that little bit of mustard seed faith, that's just enough for you to start walking and being like, and muster up everything you can muster. Like, you know what? I don't know how I'm gonna figure it out. I don't know how it's gonna happen. I don't know the conclusion. I don't have enough money. I don't have enough wherewithal. I only got a little bit of strength. But one thing I know, God is with me. And I
don't know how, I don't know where, but I know who. Period.
I don't know all the scriptures. I don't know all the songs. I don't know all of this, but I just know that he with me and I'm going.
He with me.
And I guarantee it. Listen, I'm living proof. I guarantee if you walk in that type of attitude and that type of demeanor, stepping out of brokenness, I guarantee it, you're not going to be walking for long.
That's it. That's the one.
Yeah.
Because your time left is more valuable than the time. What was it?
The time you have left is more valuable than the time
that you spent. I need somebody to grab that and meditate on that when we finish this episode. I promise you that thing will free you up. I promise you. God is very intentional with what he says and who he uses. I promise you that somebody's going to get free just behind that right there. And we're praying for you. I promise you, because I felt that thing in my spirit. Listen, God deals with me with visions. Literally names were coming across my forehead while you were talking. That's why I'm just shaking my head going like this. Because I'm mentally in prayer. Like, God, I know you got this. I know you got this. Do this for them. Because people are exhausted. People are broken. People need something, or they need a moment that can change their life to save their life. So I know that phrase right there freed some people right now. I know that phrase right there. Even when you're saying that, people right there.
It's a deception for the enemy, or even people. He'll use people. So we walking out here looking for some spookiness, but he'll use people or use things and images. So you'll get caught up on, I can't see it. It's more comfortable to stay and sit with what I can see.
Come on.
So that's the spent part. The part that I can't see, how could it be more valuable, Jamel? I can't see it. But think about it. The time that you spent, at one point, you couldn't see that. But now you in it. And he wants to keep you trapped right in what you can see.
Right.
And what you can see is not beneficial for your change. So therefore, you might as well tap into the unknown. You might as well walk into the unseen. And whatever limited knowledge or information you have, whatever calculations you can do, move with that. And because you haven't seen it yet. There's a fear, and I understand it, but you haven't seen it yet. But trust me, it's more valuable. There's laughs. Somebody, thank you.
Come on, Lord. Jesus.
There's somebody who hasn't laughed in a while. So there's a laughter that you haven't tapped into yet. That can be the depiction of the value that you haven't seen. There's a laughter you haven't laughed yet. There's a joy
Mm,
you haven't experienced yet because you're focused on what you've spent and all the years you've been with him or her. There's a laughter you haven't laughed. There's
come on,
there's a
God.
joy there's a joy you haven't experienced. There's money you haven't counted.
Mm-hmm.
You haven't even counted. No, you thought you spent money. God's like, there's money you haven't even accounted.
Come on. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Let's go. Relationship mechanic. Let's go. Listen, so let me ask you this. Do you feel, because like, like we were saying, God is intentional with everything he does and he's always moving. So with that, do you feel that you going through the divorce, did that push you into your destiny in reference to being a relationship mechanic? Because now you are equipped on both ends. Like you are clearly equipped to tell the people about the time they spent and how much value the time to come shall be.
Yeah. I believe so. I think because I believe God uses everything.
Yeah.
Whether it was a prudent move we made or a wise decision we failed to make, He's going to use it all. He's going to mix it all together for His good. And I believe that was one experience that He uses and has used to catapult me further into my destiny
Right.
or further into purpose. Because without that, I wouldn't be able to even to understand the infirmity of somebody who may have been touched by that. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm thankful for it
Right.
because there's people that, not to make this a show of divorce, but there's people that's been touched by that and there's people that can't relate to them. I can relate
Right.
to you. I've been touched by that.
Yeah.
I can relate to your dating stories. I dated. I can relate
Mm-hmm.
to your marriage story. I was married for 11 years. Which way you want to go with this?
Yeah.
You know? Because sometimes when people have been touched by pain like that, sometimes they're ostracized or tucked off in the corner like, okay, they're done.
Yeah.
But that phrase that we just mentioned, that's something that can help you escape from that thought of maybe my time is up. Maybe this is just it. Maybe I'll just settle here, like why trade in all these years or trade in all this time? I spent so much.
Mhm.
That phrase is for that person. And that was birthed out of that opposition or that pain that I experienced. Listen, your wounds are intended to heal somebody else's anyway. It's not about you.
Yeah. It's
That's
not
a hard
about
pill
you.
that I had to swallow. Like, man, being frustrated. God, why this happened to me? Frustrated with whoever. But he's like, your wounds are intended to heal somebody else's, Jamel. And it's not even about your marriage. Forget that. Set that aside. All the wounds that you collectively occurred over life, it's not about you. Go ahead
No,
and cry your
sir.
tears, but your wounds are intended to heal somebody else's. Some people listen, and I said this,
My life is not my
because
own.
some people would say, well, I got to reach this certain point where I'm able to talk to people, coach to people, minister to people, whichever vernacular you want to use. But at the same time, I said, this dropped in me because I was thinking like that. Well, God, I don't want to say anything. I went through this, I went through that. I don't want to open my mouth. Who's going to listen to me? And I just experienced this. Well, why do they want to listen to me about relationships? I'll wait till I get a little more whole. And not to say that you don't want to be healed, but he said, listen, he said, some people don't have time for you to be healed and whole. Your brokenness is directly connected to their breakthrough.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Some people at your level of you wanting to be whole right now, where you are is whole to somebody that's broken.
Yeah.
Your brokenness is directly connected to their breakthrough. You say, oh, wait till I reach this certain point. Wait till I get married again and get to this certain, let me reach 5 more years and get 10 years under my belt. Then I'm going to go talk to such and such. God, like, no, some people, not to say that you don't want to get your accolades and get yourself together, but he says some people you encounter walking through life, Jamel, they don't have time for you to be healed and whole. Right
That's
where you
it.
at with your brokenness is directly connected to their breakthrough. So when I give you something, when I share something with you, or you go through an experience and you in that position in life, whether it's in the grocery store or at the library or wherever you are, and I prompt you and put you in a position and I want you to open your mouth and you sitting there thinking about, but I'm too broken.
Your
You better say
obedience.
something. Because you
Yeah.
don't know what they dealing with.
That's the one.
This may be their 5th divorce.
Yep.
And you only got one under your belt, or this may be their 5th breakup, or this may be their 5th loss of a child, or whatever that thing may be. This may be their 10th job loss, or this may be they ain't got nowhere to go to sleep tonight. And you sitting there like, oh, but I got to get ready. God, no, you're ready right now in this moment.
Your
Open your mouth.
obedience is connected to that person's destiny. A person you may
Yeah.
not even know. Your obedience to where you are right now because of where God has taken you from is connected to that next person's destiny, that next person's purpose. Because when you're going through stuff, sometimes you just can't hear. You can't hear. Your mind is clouded. Your heart is broken. You're confused. You really want this thing to work. So it will take Jamel's obedience on his podcast tonight to say what he needs to say, even though he's still growing in his gifting,
Mm-hmm.
for me to be like, yo, word, like my time, I got more time on this earth. There's more. Thank you, sir.
Mm-hmm.
And I can just go. I can just
Mm-hmm.
go. So now I want you to tap into your childhood a little bit. I know, you know, your mother is a preacher, but she wasn't always a preacher. Like, how was the dynamics between, your mom and your dad and you and your siblings? I know y'all got amazing story in there. Tap into that a little bit for the people if you don't mind.
I want to say my parents, they did a good job. You know what I mean? My mom, no, they did. My mom was amazing. My dad is amazing. I know my dad he had his life was a little more, I should say, more crazy than my mom's. Of course, in and out of penitentiary, then serving a long bid, the typical story, But
That's
I think they
typical. That's
tried.
typical. That's
I mean, well, let me say this. Let me say
that's
this. The
oh, it's
typical
typical.
story where I come from. Let me say that. The
Right,
typical
right,
story
right.
growing up in the area where I grew up at, in Hempstead, New York, and then
Yeah.
also other places. That was kind of like the story. Like, oh, okay, your dad locked up. Oh yeah, my dad locked up too. You know what I
Right.
mean? Oh, your mom. Oh yeah, my mom is in there too. You
Mm-hmm.
know, I do have to commend my mom. I didn't. I would say I wasn't raised in church. I was raised around the church, but
Mm-hmm.
my mom did, and like effortlessly, like always pushed with all her effort to have me in service, even though I didn't know what was going on. I'm like, whatever. As soon as I get out of here, I'm out of here. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, oh, she would take us to Sunday school. My dad was pushing against it. He had opposition because of his belief system in Islam, but I would glean from both of them.
Mm-hmm.
So even going into like my teenage years, I wasn't really sold on like, oh, I love Muhammad. Oh,
Right.
I love Jesus. It was
Right.
like, I didn't really care. I just believed there was a God
Right.
and he
Right.
served us and he was over us. And my parents were doing the best that they can with what the information they had and the tools they had.
Right.
So I never looked at one or the other like, I hate my dad or I hate my
Mm-hmm.
mom. It
Mm-hmm.
wasn't, I was frustrated at times more so of my dad because, I was looking at what he was doing like, dang, bro, like, what's up, man? Like, but it never had me like hate him. So, but I would glean wisdom from both of them.
Mm-hmm.
My dad would sometimes be sitting me on the porch and he'd be saying stuff, and I'd be like, dang, that was deep right there, man.
Mm-hmm.
Like, but then I'll see him doing something, I'm like, okay, that was deep, but dang, you need to use that information. But it was real deep. And then my mom would say some stuff about her beliefs that was real deep. And I took both of them and said, okay, I'm gonna
Got
take
it.
this and navigate through life with this information. One of the most powerful things my dad said, and if he ever watches this or listens to this, and this stuck with me forever. He probably don't even remember this. He was like, we were sitting on the porch. Um, Everybody that know Terrace Avenue, Bedell, we was on Bedell, the dead end, and we was
Oh, is
sitting
that
out
in?
there,
Yeah.
and he was like, Jamel, all this stuff is fancy dust. And I was like, what? Like, he was like, if you see that car right there, if you just let that car go into the middle of the field and just sit there and nobody never touch it, do nothing to it, it'll return right to the dirt. It's dust, it's dirt. It's just fancy.
Mm,
It just looks fancy. And I was like, dang, that was deep. It just hit me.
right.
He was like, so never, he said, don't ever get attached to the dirt. And I
All
was
right,
like,
Dad.
okay. So for the rest of my life, you know what I mean? That would ring through my mind. And actually, once, I never said this, but wow, that could be that was one of the initiators or sparks underlining the value of relationships. Because I
Mm,
value people. I always say valuable people attract people of value. And the value of relationship, it stems way past monetary gain.
right.
It's the unseen. It's the, what do I say? I said, I focus on what's being, I don't focus on what's fading. I focus on what's being revealed.
Ooh, yes, sir.
Because even right now, this moment that we're in, it's a great moment. I appreciate it, but it's fading.
Mm-hmm.
I'm more focused on what's being revealed. I see
Mm-hmm.
this moment. I appreciate it dearly, but what's being revealed is more important than what's fading.
Yeah.
And so that's the fancy dust scenario. I think that probably, I'm not probably, but that was probably somewhere stirred up in me, initiated from my dad saying that. And it just started to grow inside of me where, you know what? I love stuff. I love things, but I value relationships more. This shirt is dope. This hat is dope. This mic is nice. I like my place. But it's like at the end of the day, this is fancy dust. This phone right here, I need it. It's utilized. I gotta utilize it to do. But this is if we sat, it's just dirt. It's fancy. Dirt. And so here's the thing: if we can understand that, and this is some, like my mentor says, some things are caught, not taught.
Right.
So some people watching this or listening to this, I'm teaching this, but you might not. It may not register. You'll catch it though. It's something that you got to catch, because when you add that into your relationship, with your intimate relationships, this focus on what's being revealed more than what's fading, then I won't be looking at my significant other because really, oh, this is good. I didn't even thought about that. In hindsight, he or she is just a fancy piece of dust.
Come on, talking right.
You got talking your wig on right. You got your suit tight. Your muscles is looking good. Your teeth is pretty, but that's dirt.
Dirt.
I appreciate your beauty. I appreciate your masculinity and your femininity and all of that. I appreciate your attributes and your character and your body, but it's fancy dirt. So at the end of the day, I'm gonna value what's in you more than what's on you.
Yes, sir.
I'm gonna value what's in you more than how your physique is cut. I do value that, but what's in you, I'm gonna value that more.
Right. So
here's the thing. Am I good?
Yeah.
Okay, because I'm about to
go. I told you what it was. You know, okay. we didn't record what we did, but you see God moving.
Listen, because
it's all
this
flowing.
Is gonna help. This is how I'm taking people into my mind and how my thought process is, and living in a healthy relationship, and even how people can take this. Like, I have more faith, because faith comes into the question, and I have more faith in the God in my partner than my partner.
Right. Now help somebody understand that.
Where I'm going with that is your partner will fail.
Yeah.
There's an area where your partner will fail. But when they fail, if I understand, I got to use these biblical examples.
Be clear. Listen, know why you up here, sir. Go.
Okay, listen, there's a story where, and this is my prayer for everybody. And I sometimes go into a deeper prayer, but it's real simplistic. As I was reading the story, Jesus says, Simon, Simon, Satan desires to sift you like wheat. Basically separate you from me. Yeah. And he said, this is what he prayed. He said, but I prayed out of all the things the Messiah could have prayed, out of all the things Christ could have prayed, he said, but I prayed that your faith doesn't fail you. Yeah. And when I read that, I said, hold on a second, man. Out of all the things he could have prayed, like, yo, get me out this jam. I prayed that you get explosive energy. I pray that you have the best vocabulary. I pray that you get 1,000 swords to protect. He said, I just pray that your faith doesn't fail you. And when I read that, it was sobering that day. I read it before, but it hit me harder. And I was like, wow, like everything's directly connected to that. And then I automatically thought, my mind thinks like this. I automatically went into relationship mode. Like, okay, if that could happen with Simon and the Messiah was praying that for him, why wouldn't that happen with my significant other?
Come on, man.
Her faith will fail. Mm-hmm. Your husband, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, your wife, their faith will fail. Now, my thing is, if I understand that, when I read that and I caught that understanding, I said, okay, now that I know that, if their faith fails in whatever they're trying to accomplish or whatever, now I'm not saying I'm believing in them, but I have faith in the God that exists in them, right, not them.
Right.
So when they do fail,
because they fancy dust.
Yeah. So when they do fail, listen to this, somebody. When they do fail, my vocabulary changes from not, I can't believe you didn't get that job. You mean to tell me we spent all that money on your schooling and you didn't? And I can't believe.
Come on, Mal.
And now my vocabulary and my language towards my partner is one of condemning and condemnatory language versus uplifting, because I realized it's not that you didn't try. It's not that you didn't give it your all. It's not that Simon wasn't trying to pursue and do his best, but he was under attack. The enemy may have got control of their mind or whatever may have happened in the situation, but I'm there, especially as the man. I'm talking to men now, especially as the man, me leading from a position of love and not dictatorship, and leading from a position of understanding the God within you. And then I could sit there and say, you know what? Her faith failed. She didn't fail. Her faith failed. So therefore, my prayers, maybe not right there, but maybe when I'm away from her, I pray that your faith don't fail.
Yes, God.
And so now my language changes and it enhances our relationships, and I lean in versus looking at you with a negative attitude like, dang it, man, you failed again. No, she didn't fail. Her faith fell. I'm pretty sure he or she had faith that they could do it.
Right.
And their faith,
Help somebody.
something may have happened. Maybe it wasn't intentional. Their faith fell. And me coming along with a Christ-like mentality to go, you know what? Come here. Now my language changes from this to maybe not even a language, but a action move or a physical move. Like, you know what? Let me hold you, babe.
Yeah.
How did that make you feel when you didn't get an A in that class and you got a C? I know you wanted an A. I know you had faith for an A and you didn't get the A. You got a C. How did that make you feel? Well, I feel like this. Now the whole communication changes.
Right. The shift.
Because one, I had faith in the God in you, because I realized that faith fails. Mm-hmm. It fails. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So do you feel that, because my thinking is, and you the mechanic, let's go, Mel, that's what you up here for. When you say faith fails, like, I know that I have the gift of faith. I had to learn that going to church. I didn't know what that was. I just know, like, I just go. I just see something before I see something, and I'm moving on that thing. So when you say, her faith failed, my thinking is, if God admonishes us to pray and to have the faith the size of a mustard seed and mountains will move, how can her faith fail? Is it her faith that's failing, or is it her human ability that's failing? Because we are made of dirt. We are not perfect. If we were perfect, we wouldn't need God. So is it her faith that failed, or is it her per se, her physical being, her human being that fails?
Here's the thing. It is when he made that analogy, it wasn't. He said, I pray that your faith doesn't fail. I pray that your faith in me, your faith and your trust and your hope and the one that's providing you the strength and the wherewithal to keep going, that doesn't fail.
Right.
So
I just wanted you to bring clarity.
Yeah.
I know what you meant.
I want. Yeah. So when that, I'm glad you did that. So we can give some understanding to it. Like, so when that occurs, and here's the thing, I like the way that story is, because if we just remove Bible out of it, it still applies.
Say that. Yeah.
Because I know somebody listening like, oh man, I know they talking that Bible. So boom, for you that's listening, trust me, God, I ain't start this yesterday. We can remove Bible out of it, and we can go practical, because you're gonna have faith in something.
Right.
But I'm talking about somebody in the relationship needs to have a perspective and an outlook. So when that does occur and a person's faith comes up short, whether they have faith in God or just faith in themselves, like, I can do this, because we have. Ooh.
Come on, Mel.
Listen, there's two types. I don't want. There's two
Stop
types
saying
of
what
faith.
you don't want to do and go.
There's two types of faith.
What are they?
One day I was laying down in the bed, and I'm giving y'all a sneak peek, and I wrote this down. It's copywritten for somebody that's listening. Try to snatch it. It ain't happening. I was laying down in the bed, and I was like, I would say I was having a vision, and I was laying down in the bed, and I was coming out of my sleep. I thought I was dreaming, and I was barely opening my eyes, and I saw a book coming out the ceiling. And I'm giving the backdrop before I make the statement. There's a book coming out of the ceiling. And on the book, it said, the faith that faith comes to.
The faith that faith comes to.
I closed my eyes and said, am I dreaming? And then I opened my eyes. I said, okay, that was weird. Was I dreaming? Was I having a vision? That was weird. But I remember seeing it, and I said, oh, so I wrote it down, and I mentally started writing like a little bit of it. And God said, that's a book I want you to write, the faith that faith comes to. So where am I going with that? There's two types of faith. There's the faith that faith comes to, meaning when I said remove the Bible out of the scenario for people that don't want to read that, okay, everybody walking around, and there's some argumentative or theologians or just people walking out here that want to argue about is faith real and all that. Go ahead. You know what I mean? We could do that, but I ain't here for that.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody has a level of faith. You
I
believe in
believe that.
yourself. I believe I can do this. I believe that I can climb that mountain and get to the top of it. I have faith in myself that I could do that. That's your faith.
Mm-hmm.
But then God said, Jamel, there's a faith that faith comes to. I
Mm.
said, what is that?
Yeah.
Because God says, look, I gave you the faith to even believe. So you have a faith, but then there's a faith that faith comes to. I depict this story in my book where I was talking about when I used to be getting hennied out and just consuming a large amount of alcohol consumption. And I had faith that I could stop this. I got faith. Man, remember, this ain't even dealing with God. I got faith that I could do this. I know what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna not hang out with this person. I'm gonna go to this one meeting, or I'm gonna do this. This is my faith in activation. It never worked. I had faith though.
Mm-hmm. Come on, Mel.
But then there was a moment where I had to be like, I got to a point, and this is in the book, where I was on the bench. I was like, God, I can't do this. And in that moment,
Surrender.
he said, boom, that's what I was waiting for. What is it? I surrendered my faith. His faith moved in and produced results that I was incapable of producing, which is sometimes called deliverance.
Come on.
So right in that moment, that's the faith that faith comes to.
Love it.
So yes, outside of that story with Simon and what we were talking about, yeah, you have faith and your faith will fail.
Mm-hmm.
So even in that scenario, look, we ain't even talking about the Bible, but somebody, so you can diffuse and won't have all these conflicts breaking out in your relationship, somebody should have the perspective or the view of what I'm sharing right now. Like, you know what? I see that your faith failed.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what I'm going to use? I'm going to use the analogy of the story with Christ and Simon. And even though you don't believe, even if the person don't believe in the Bible, I'm going to use this analogy right now because you know what? Your faith failed. And I'm not going to condemn you. I'm not going to hate you. I'm not going to come down on you. What I'm going to do is I'm going to choose the right language in this moment or the right action to take, because think about it. Jesus could have said anything to Simon. He said, I just pray that your faith don't fail.
Right.
Because here's what's happening. Satan, he said he's trying to sift you like wheat.
That's it.
He's trying to separate you from me. In relationships, there's a sifting going on. What you think? You think, okay, naturally, we looking at my husband, I'm looking at my wife, I'm looking at my girlfriend or boyfriend, physically, naturally. Yeah, he wants you caught up on the natural aspect of it. Even if you don't believe in this, you could say you don't believe in this. You just keep on walking and keep on living, and you keep on butting heads naturally. But spiritually, there's a component taking place behind the scenes, and that thing is trying to sift you.
Right.
It's trying to separate your husband from you. It's trying to separate your wife from you. It's trying to separate your girlfriend or your boyfriend from you, or your significant other from you. It's trying to separate you. And so for somebody that has insight and oversight and has a greater perspective in that relationship, they need to be the person that says, you know what? I see what's taking place, but I pray that your faith doesn't fail you.
Yeah.
Even if I'm not saying it directly to my spouse or my significant other, behind the scenes, I'm like, God, that's my prayer. When I read that, niece, my prayer behind the scenes was like, you know what? When I went to pray for somebody, even if I pray for them directly, I was like, okay, I don't got nothing deep to say, but here's what I do know. Everything directly is connected to this. So my prayer for you, man, my prayer for my fiance, my prayer for her is, God, I pray that her faith doesn't fail.
Yeah, God.
I don't know what situation she may be in. It may not even be nothing going on.
Right.
For some of us, it may not be nothing going on, or something is going on. But even if it's nothing, whatever the situation is, my prayer, God, is that their faith doesn't fail.
Yeah.
Help them keep their faith in you, even if they don't have all the intelligence and all the Bible scholar and all the scriptures memorized. But just please don't let them. I pray that their faith doesn't fail in you, because that faith in you and that connection to you is directly connected to them winning in every area of their life. That's what Jesus was trying to do with Simon and depict to us in that story. I pray that your faith doesn't fail. So I said, yo, I'm using that in my relationship.
Love it.
Without having to, sometimes I don't have the energy to do no long prayer, but I can sit there and say real simple, God, I pray that her faith don't fail.
Yeah. Woo. And that's enough.
Real talk.
That's enough. That's enough.
Real talk.
That's enough.
Because he said, hey, listen, he's trying to sift you. And if anybody's seen a thing that sips wheat, he's trying to separate you from you. He's trying to scatter you. He's trying, and once I can separate him, isolate him, I can annihilate him. I want to
Yep.
get him weak enough where I
Weak.
could be like, okay, I got the husband over here, I got the wife over here, I
Mm-hmm.
got the girlfriend or boyfriend over here, I got the significant other over here, and now on top of that, I got them looking at each other sideways. I got her coming at him because he failed, and she don't know that his faith failed, but now she looking at him like a failure, and he looking at her like a failure, and now he's gonna say this like, I can't believe this, and he's throwing out the wrong language, and I'm sitting back like, yeah, let me just sift it. I just keep on sifting this to
It's
the point it's
working.
separated.
He like it's
It's
working.
working.
It's working.
It's
It's
working. Ain't
working.
nobody got the perspective
Still
that it's
kill
just
and
their human.
destroy.
No, nobody got the perspective in the moment that their human frailty and faith has failed. They didn't fail.
Mm-hmm.
No,
Mm.
no.
My God. My God. Awesome.
And
Awesome.
even when you
Awesome.
fail, you're not a failure.
I wanted
And
to
us looking at our significant
oh
other
go ahead.
like that will have us start to talk to them as if they are a failure. We may not
Mm.
even call them a failure, but here's the thing: it may not even be verbally that we say it. We might start doing it in our actions and expressing it. You know what? I ain't giving him none tonight.
Mm-hmm.
He's a
Mm-hmm.
failure. You
Yeah.
ain't said it, but this is your way of displaying and showing him he's a failure, or showing her, you know what? I know she want that stuff, but man, I can't believe she did and
She
failed in
don't
that
deserve
area
it
right
because she
there.
failed.
You know what? You don't deserve it. And
Mm-hmm.
who are you to even say something like that for? Because now,
Right.
see, if we get greater to the grand scheme of things, this is why I'm saying, man, I'm humbled by God and staying a servant, because he constantly looks at me and Jamel like, what if I handled you like that?
Yeah.
Because you
Woo!
come up short. You come up short a lot, homie.
The conviction
You
of it
come up
all.
short a lot. And I pray, look, and Jamel, oh, listen, just how you praying for him or her, that's how the story doesn't stop. Christ is still,
Man,
oh
go
man, there's so much
in.
I want
Go
to say,
in, Mel.
man.
Go in, bro.
He's still pleading on our behalf.
Yes, he is. With our
God, don't take
imperfect
Niche right
self.
now.
With our
God, don't
imperfect
know.
self.
Still give her the promise. Still bless Jamel. Still bless him. I pray that his faith doesn't fail. Somebody in the cut praying for you, even if it ain't your spouse praying for you.
Yep.
There's times that I'm praying for specific couples that I know, and really my prayer is that simple. God, I just pray that their faith don't fail. Because I know if they could just keep that going, whatever that little bit they got, and just keep it in you, then we could do something. Now we revert back to what I was saying. But we got to still identify that. If I identify this,
Right.
and somebody's not, because somebody might not be willing to do nothing about it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so I don't want nobody hearing this and say, "Well, I did that praying, he still and she still," but that's understandable. If they're not willing to do nothing about it, then we on another story.
Yeah, they keep
We back
passing
to the
that gas
beginning.
station. Listen, we back at square
Yeah,
one. Somebody got to
that
make
ain't
a
got nothing to
decision.
do with faith. That just has something to do with plain foolishness.
Yeah, foolishness, ego, and crazy. Like we gotta call
Yeah.
a spade out here. Now, I think that's part of the problem as well. I'm glad God is amazing. God is just so good. I know exactly why He took you where He took you, but it comes down to being honest with yourself. I think it comes down to like two things. One is being honest with yourself, and the other is the knowledge of what is going on, because some people really just don't know. Some stuff is generational. Like if you grew up in a household where everybody talked to each other crazy and toxic, and you the B word, and you got this going on, you bringing that into your relationship is a normalcy for you. Like my
Mm-hmm.
first time seeing somebody I was dealing with curse of their mama, that was devastation for me. Like in my household, that's just not what you do. But this was a
Oh yeah.
normalcy for that person. So I would not be shocked if that person actually used profanity against me, because that was a normalcy for them. So what happens is I feel that is on one end is people being honest with their frailties or with their shortcomings or what they're bringing to the table that may cause friction. And then the other thing is just not even having knowledge of it, which can be damaging. Because like we said
Mm-hmm.
earlier, if you really, really, ah, if you
Mm-hmm.
really,
Mm-hmm.
really took in that your life is not your own, that your testimony is to save someone else, to help someone else get through what they need to get through, we would not move the way we move. If we really took it personal and understood how I speak to my spouse or how I speak to my children is going to shape and mold how they feel about themselves, we would not move the way we move in our relationships. Like we would take it very,
Mm-hmm.
very personal. We'll be very, very strategic in the things we say and how we treat each other. And thank you so much for just being transparent, even with the dream. Like I'm super excited for that book. I can't wait. I didn't tell you this yet, but I'm telling you now. The workbook. Me and my husband trying to do another challenge. I know we did a challenge in December, from December 1st to December 30th with what's the guy's name? Todd
Mike Todd.
Michael. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That was awesome. And so we're constantly trying to grow. And that's when you care about something, you start to make strides. You do something about it. When you care about something, you're gonna stop at that gas station. You know what I'm saying? You
Mm-hmm.
might not be happy. You
Mm-hmm.
might be the one that's not too happy about stopping at the gas station. But if you care enough and you see and you hear your partner out, you're gonna realize, all right, I am being kind of stubborn. Go ahead, stop at the gas station, go get the gas. You know what I'm saying? But
Mm-hmm.
it has to be a give and take, and it has to be something that you are honest about to make things better. So
Yeah.
thank you for that. I love what you said about your father, what he said, man. That's dope. Some things just started happening. I just started seeing I'm gonna have to write a lot when we get off this daggone episode, my friend. Things is moving around in my mental, and I already see what God is trying to do. Now, you also tap into music. How does that connect with, the man you were and the man you are today?
The music aspect.
Yeah.
It's a gifting that God allowed. It's a gifting that I could use to what should I say? People that to reach a bunch of people that probably wouldn't normally listen to me talk how I'm talking now.
Hmm. Hmm.
So I can relate to them in that level, and then when they hear that and they draw closer and they start hearing me talk like this, they like, oh snap, yo, I thought you was just a rapper, and I'm
Hmm.
not a rapper.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like case in point, my engineer I was with the other day, man, that's a whole amazing story. Like we end up connecting on a relationship level because he needed some relationship advice, and he
Hmm.
thought I came in there and did some music, and afterwards he started just talking to me, and I started sharing with him. He was like, "Oh, I thought I was just sitting here with a dude that did rap, or you know what I mean?" I'm like, "Nah, bro, like that's nah." So the music is definitely one of them things I use as a tool, as another tool, but I don't really talk about it too much, and I know I should,
I know you
because
don't.
I'm cooking. His thing, not
That's
even
why I brought
cooking.
it
There's
up.
something. There's something that's brewing right now. I'm telling y'all, man. Like this is.
It's God.
Oh my god.
It's God.
I wanna say the name, but I can't even say it right now, man. Can I say the
Say the
name?
name.
I don't know if I can say the name of the project.
Say the name. Say the
Did they
name.
did they copyright the name?
But tell the people where they can find your music. Like this is listen. Let me just say this. Let me just say this to those who may not know
It's
me
a
well, who may not know you well, but I don't have people coming on this platform just by happenstance. Like this is God.
mm-hmm.
I need people to be very, very clear that yes, people have reached out to me to come on here. I'm a praying woman. So when God releases me and says it's a go, let this person whatever, then that's what it is. This young man has such an amazing story. He's giving you like portions and fragments of things. But if you're in Atlanta, follow him on social media, see exactly what he's doing. He already gave you a glimpse of just how he came up with the name, of his consulting firm. Like, he doesn't just do stuff just for show. This is not a show. He could be doing other things. Trust me. Trust me. He could be doing other things. So this is God. If you're open,
Mm-hmm.
to listen to what God is trying to get you to hear, I need you to tune in, and I need you to also subscribe to his podcast. Like, he's just an amazing individual. I'm so proud of him. He's, like I said, I shared I think on my post when I made the flyer, like, I was just seeing so much visually. I'm just like, yo, I can't wait for Mel to come out. Super excited. But one of the things that stuck out, was me referring to him as one of my mother other sons. And when my mother loved on you, like, she loved on you. You know what I'm saying? So if
Yeah.
you encountered
Really.
apartment 339, like, she was your other mother. And she made
Yeah.
sure she told you, like, Mel, you different. Don't be out here doing
Mm-hmm.
this. Don't even do this with my son. Like, da-da-da. She gonna let you have it because she loved you. So I just thank God, for the value of relationships. You know what I'm saying? Him and I don't speak all the time, but whenever we do kick it, like, it's hard for us to get off the phone because God is gonna start speaking. Like, if y'all
Yeah.
could have just saw just the encounter we had before we even came on live, like, God, Mel, like, yo, why we not recording? I'm like, I know, like, God is just amazing. So if you are looking to change, if you are looking to be better, not just in your relationship, but as an individual, you need to connect with this young man. I just want to say
Yeah.
that.
Thank you for calling me young man. I appreciate it. Hold on. You know what crazy? This is live, like Facebook live?
This is live, Facebook and
Oh, I
YouTube.
didn't know.
Yeah,
Oh, cool. So after we done, I can go back and watch it?
you absolutely can. You
Man, look
absolutely
at the
can.
podcast going over here,
Look
man.
at the
That's dope, man.
podcast, fam. Oh, and listen, let me say this. I know I did the challenge with David Shantz, who is his partner. This is how God is strategic and all he does. But Jamel is the person who's been pushing me to do a podcast for years. Like for years. Not I keep saying I'm late, but clearly I'm on time. But Bell knows what I'm saying when I say I'm late because he's been like, "Did you get the mic yet? Did you do this yet? Yo, sis, stop
Yeah.
playing. You go on the block yet? Did you do this?" Like this is what
Yeah.
he does. This is his gifting.
Yeah.
It's servitude. So this is not a
Yeah,
game.
man.
If you want to
It's
change,
not.
it's the mechanic right here. Period. I just want to say that.
Yeah.
And thank you,
That's
sir.
good. I mean, yeah, man. And I ain't gonna say it.
Next question. So now you have the consultant for, I want to say this, and I don't know if you want to tap into it because this is your family and it's their business, but I want to say this. I watched, shout out to Michael Jackson. I know he got the show with Egypt on HGTV. Dopeness, like on steroids. That's amazing. But I wanted to say something to you, connected to
It
something
is
that
on the
Mike
13th
said.
too, this Thursday.
Oh, this Thursday. This Thursday. Okay, cool. Good. Look at God. Right on time. This Thursday. Make sure you go check that out. HGTV with Michael Jackson and Egypt Sherrod. Am I saying her last name right?
Sherrod.
Sherrod? Egypt Sherrod?
Yeah.
Okay. And Egypt
Yeah.
Sherrod. But I wanted to say something, right? I remember watching Black Love and Michael and Egypt were on there. And he said something that was so amazing. And it made me so godly proud of this man for saying what he said. When he was talking about her brokenness, or they were speaking about her brokenness, and she was very adamant about what she went through in her past relationships. And what I loved about what Mike did and what he said and what he did was he actually pushed their wedding date back so they can really get to the place they needed to get to so they can be husband and wife. And I felt that was very significant because sometimes what happens is we're engaged and we're doing the fun things, the so-called fun things, and we're planning a wedding and we're having bridal showers and all these different things, and it's supposed to be amazing. But you start to see certain things about your spouse that you don't know if you want to stick in and deal with that for a lifetime. And I thought it was so amazing, bold, confident, that he loved this woman enough and he loved himself enough to say, listen, we can't get married right now. We got some growing to do. What is your take on that? You don't have to get into the details because I don't basically shit it. But what is your take on that? Being bold enough to say, yes, I do love you. I understand that you are broken, but I love myself enough to not allow you to hurt me because of what the last person did. What do you say to that?
I'm already in a relationship.
Yeah.
I think that I've had, since that's my bro, like we've had intimate conversations and I've heard him share that and even go in depth with his thought pattern behind that. And I'm in agreement. I'm in agreement with him. The only thing I would add to it is that I think it's the unknown that sometimes we have fear of, and that we're always going to be evolving.
Right.
So me personally, that wouldn't prohibit me from making a big decision like marriage. Not a person like me. I would still make the decision because I'm in it, and I understand his statement. Totally. I agree with it. But me, I would go further into it and be like, that wouldn't impact my decision making per se in terms of marrying you.
So it wouldn't impact you as in like you see that, okay, you got somebody, I got somebody. Let's use us real quick. Whatever. We're together. You've already proposed and we're excited, but I start acting a certain way and I keep bringing up what happened in the past because now I'm getting closer to, I'm scared, but I'm not saying it. So I'm actually scared. So I'm taking it out on you and saying little stupid stuff just to remind you that I've been through something crazy already. You would still say I do to me and I'm doing this. That's what you're saying.
Yeah, I mean, it would probably not be
So that's not a deal
in
breaker.
that. It wouldn't be a deal breaker because once again, it goes back to like we're saying, you identified your brokenness.
Right.
You're willing to do something about it.
Right.
Now, will it may now? I like I said, I'm in agreement with him. It may push back the date
Mm-hmm.
because now I may say, okay, what do you think about us doing this type of counseling or whatever the exercise is to get to a point where you feel strong enough or healthy enough to take this next step,
Mm-hmm.
because we were dating, now we're engaged, and the next step is marriage. So we went from dating to being having enough wherewithal to go to being engaged. You said yes. Now the next step is marriage. So okay, you feel that way then, and you identifying this area that's broken. You want to do something about it. Let's do something about it for you as an individual. Then let's do something about it with us collectively.
Mm-hmm.
And then let's sit down again. Maybe we'll revisit it maybe after a month or two and see where your mind state is, you're emotionally at, and where we are. And then say, okay, you know what? Hey, now we can go with that date.
Mm-hmm.
Or you know what? Let's do 2 more months. Every couple will be different,
Right.
and everybody's growth time is different. But if
Mm-hmm.
I would just periodically revisit that foundation of that particular problem and be like, okay, where do we stand now?
Right. Okay.
But yeah,
Do you suggest, you know, do you think black people have a thing with therapy? Like we just don't want to do it? I ain't talking
no,
about
I do
me.
believe we
I
do.
believe in
No,
therapy.
I do believe we do. A lot of it, we got to think though. I don't want to just make it a blanket statement, but where does that come from? There's a lot of systemic things connected to it. Our upbringing, the
Generational.
vulnerability. Do I want to share this information? Last time I shared this with such and such, this happened, and I shared it with this person, and that happened. I opened up to that person over there, my counselor, and this happened. I'm closed in now. So this whole therapy is like, I don't know about that.
I'm straight. Mm-hmm.
Not
Do
knowing it's the very thing that could set us free, but then it's
yeah.
like, or we get into the whole. I was going to say this about 10 minutes ago. We get into the whole thing because I mean it does cost,
Yeah.
and I understand that, but I studied disaster recovery when I was in my computer science course, and disaster recovery, we had to do these mock trials in school where we would we would put this plan together for an IT company. So if the IT company, let's just say like Google, we would put a disaster recovery plan together for them. So and if anything was to occur, a flood, a storm, fire, anything that could destroy their data or their infrastructure, we had a plan in place to keep them running if that happened.
Right.
Most of these companies, not saying Google, but I'm using them as an analogy, they would deny it and say, you know what, we don't want that plan.
Ooh.
We're going to go ahead and just do what we do and whatever the case
We're
may
gonna
be.
check out.
Through research in our class, we found that companies that denied these plans, it ended up costing them millions of dollars to restore the data or recover the information. So imagine Google down for a week, how much money they would lose. So even through my program, what I added, because I was thinking about this like 2 years ago, I said, you know what? I'm gonna add an RCP plan,
Mm-hmm.
relationship continuity plan. So it's like these are things like, so if something happens, let's do this now so it doesn't cost us on the long run. Or
Love
we
it.
could deny it and say, you know what, I don't want that. They called it also business continuity plans, where businesses would have things in place. So, okay, if this happens, then we're going to do this. If that happens, we're going
Right.
to do this. So we can save money in the long run. But if you could, somebody may say, well, I don't want that. I don't need that. And I ain't spending money on that. Think about it. These IT companies, it would cost them maybe $10,000 to $20,000 to get the disaster recovery plan. They'll
Mm-hmm.
say, no, I don't want it. A fire hits. Now it costs you about $2 million
Million.
to get the building back up and running, and you're losing millions of dollars because you're a popular company that everybody
Mm-hmm.
has a demand for, and you just being down for 2 weeks is devastating.
Right. Come on, Mel.
Relationships.
Yeah.
We want to try to install the sprinklers when the fire starts. Or we like, you know what? I don't want to do that. I ain't invested in no relationship assessment. I'm not, and I'm not even advertising this. The relationship assessment with me, it's $150. This is it's by a company called Prepare and Enrich, where I got certified as a facilitator. They have helped over 4 million couples that have taken this assessment. It's used by hundreds of thousands of therapists, counselors, facilitators. It's accurate, evidence-based facts. For you people
Right.
don't know, that is evidence-based facts material that people have studied and did trials and errors with, that have benefited over 4 million couples.
Right.
And people would say, I'm not spending that
Now I'm good.
$150.
They're like, I get a PS5, not 150.
But you go, here's the thing. And I'm okay with that. I don't feel no type of way. But my thing is I know it works, and I know that something's going to occur.
Right.
And now it's going to listen. I think I was sent it to my brother. The amount that it takes to go through a divorce, especially when there's assets and things
Assets.
involved,
Yeah.
it costs more than $150.
I know that's a
It may cost some people $150,000.
Yeah. Come
Depending
on,
on your
Mel.
stature, it may cost some people $150 million.
Right. Yep.
Am I
Come
saying
on.
the assessment is the be all to end all? But I'm talking about it accurately pinpoints these. Man, now I'm like, if there's a couple that hasn't took this, man, you're doing a disservice.
You're doing
It's
a
so
disservice.
freaking powerful, and you're doing it separate. You take the assessment, it spits out the results, and me as a facilitator combs through it and takes you through it. And I'm talking about, you can see the agreement areas. It's not pointing out flaws, it's pointing out areas that you guys need to grow stronger
Go
in.
stronger. Mm-hmm.
And it's different categories, from sex to parental to spiritual to finances to communication to conflict. All of these areas where that it mostly impacts relationships. And I'm talking about, when you see the results, it's undeniable. Like, oh
Right.
snap,
Like, that's me.
I need to.
That's
But you
me.
take that information, and you study it. It's not a one-time spit out information.
Mm-hmm.
It's you and your partner periodically revisiting the assessment and saying, hey, let's pull out the assessment tonight. Like, okay, here's an area where our agreement percentage is very low, but we're not focusing on that. We're focusing on the area where we're strong at.
Right.
Because as we focus on that, it improves the area where we're not that strong at.
Come on, Mel.
Man, that thing is so powerful,
That
man.
thing is
Oh my
powerful,
God.
bro. Woo! Help somebody. Help somebody, sir. Help somebody.
I guess that, you know what? I guess if it feels like a promo, then call it a promo. Click the link in my bio.
This whole thing is a promo, sir.
Set up a consultation call, 15 minutes, and
let's go.
Here's the thing. I'm not just doing this. I'm not just gonna work with anybody and everybody. It has to be a fit. So I'm not one of these people out here, oh yeah, I can work with you. Let me sign up, let me get your money. No, because you might not be a fit for me. But I can hear your conversation, and I might be like, oh, you know what? You should work with my friend. This guy right here, him and his wife, they got what you need. That's not for me.
Right.
I'm not gonna try to stress and strain myself out just because it's a money call. Like, no, you know, I know what you need. You need to work with this dude. He's more fit for y'all.
Love it. Love it. That's
Yeah.
real. That's real.
It
Wow.
is, yeah.
That's real. All right. So
Some people out here just money hungry.
No, it is. It's a lot of nonsense out here. That's why I said earlier, you know what I'm saying, just put it out there. Like, I'm not having just anybody come up here. That's just not what we're doing right now. We trying to grow. That's one of the words that God keeps showing me, is just grow. Just grow. However that looks, whatever God is telling you to do, just grow. There's no reason for you to still be in the same mental state. We done been through a pandemic, still kind of going through one. It's so much that has transpired, and you're still here. You need to grow as a person, as a as a parent, whatever it is. And just speaking about parenting, I got a heart for the kids. How was the transition for you? You were in your marriage for 11 years. You have a beautiful daughter. Oh my gosh, she's so smart. I used to love when you used to show her videos. She's so stinking cute, and then she's just super smart. She's so your kid. How was that? How was that for your daughter? And what are the dynamics now? Her having a father that's a relationship, a relationship mechanic. Like, how does that go? I know she has to be super, super smart and sharp to know what's actually going on. Like, how was that?
This is the first time somebody ever asked me that question in terms of like on an interview or anything. My daughter's very inquisitive. I know my daughter. And how old was she at that time? She was 8. But she's always been very inquisitive. So at 8, she understood what was going on. She knew what was going on.
Right.
So when I spent time with her one on one as the transition was happening, I would ask her like, "Yo, you know what's going on?" She was like, "Yeah, I know." She was like, "This is what's happening." She said, "But you're gonna be okay. Mommy's gonna be okay. You're strong. You guys are strong. God is good." And this is how she would answer, and I'd be like, and I would look like, wow. Now I still didn't take that as if I don't need to be as gentle or nurturing with her
Mhm,
because
mhm.
she got it already. All
She's
right,
still a
good.
little
Forget it.
girl. Right.
Still a little girl,
Mhm.
still processing, just giving her answer. It's a legitimate answer, I can tell, authentic, but I'm still going to nurture her and guide her through the process, even up to this point now when we sit and talk. Man, she's coming to me though, and I'm good, but I'll be chilling on the couch, and my daughter just come walking up to me, and she'll be like, "How you feeling?" And I'm like, "I'm good," and I'm looking at her like, "Where's she going with this?" She
What's
was
up?
like, "She like, you don't never get lonely in this house by yourself?" I'm like, "Yeah, I do." I said, "But I'm good, I'm good." I was like, I just be chilling. I go out sometimes. She was like, "Yeah, I want you to have somebody. Your life is gonna be better." And I'm like, listen, my life is better. She was like, "I know, but you know, you want to be married again?" I'm like, "Yeah, I do." She was like, "Okay, you gonna marry that one girl?" I'm like, "Child, we ain't having this conversation right now. Like,
That
go in your
one
room."
girl.
And she'll go back in her room. I'm like, "Man, this is turning into therapy with my daughter at
you
11
gonna
years
you
old."
gonna marry that one girl? He's like, yeah. Thank
I'm
you.
like, man, I'm not messing with you, man.
Wow.
Yeah,
We
but
see.
even seeing her operate like that, it shows me her strength and her growth. And some people, I'm thanking God that she hasn't been devastated by it.
Right, right.
Like where it's like, and I think she's young too, so it's like not like she's growing, so it's not like she was. I'm not saying it wouldn't happen at her age, but it's not like she's 16, 17,
Mhm.
and then all of a sudden it's like mommy and daddy done.
Right. Yeah.
She's 8 years old, and I'm telling her this information, and she's growing now and going soon to be going into a teenage years. And it's like,
Mhm.
okay, this didn't happen yesterday. When you're 13,
Right,
it's like it didn't happen yesterday. This happened when I was 8. And daddy
right.
been loving on me. Mommy been loving on me. Mommy got her
Mhm.
relationship. They loving. They don't. We not. Mom and dad ain't beefing with each other. So it's like, okay, yeah.
Okay, good. You see so many kids, they go through the devastation part of it. So do you think raising her up to know, who God is and raising her to see an example of loving parents because you guys weren't always not, getting along or thinking about being divorced. You spent 11 years, so I know she had to see some joy and some good things. Um do you feel that sh- do you feel the conversations will shift, or is it something that you're paying attention to where is gonna one day kick in, like being around other friends who all their parents are still together and she's the one kid who parents didn't make it? Like, is it something where you are being mindful that you're gonna have other times where she may not be okay?
I do, but that's why I constantly I'm examining my daughter.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's times where I'm with her and I'm studying her when she probably don't know I'm studying her. I'm studying her demeanor. I'm studying the way she responds. I'm asking her questions intentionally to see how she responds to those questions. It may not be a direct question about marriage or something like that, but I'm
Mm-hmm.
asking her triggering questions about relationships. Obviously, I have more insight than her because I'm older than her,
Right.
but she doesn't know it, and I'm asking her that, and I'm seeing her response. I'm like, oh, okay. I need to, based on her answer, I'm like, I need to be more gentle in this area of her life.
Right.
Or I may ask her this question, or I'm watching her demeanor. I'm watching her response with her mom. If I see her with her mom and she says this, I'm like, okay, could that possibly have been birthed out of this?
Mm-hmm.
Let me think about that. Or
Right.
then I'll pray for her in that area. Same little prayer too. God, I pray that Jarvis' faith doesn't fail.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because I know ultimately, at the end of the day, no matter how much I'm therapeutic towards her or I'm pinpointing areas that she needs grooming in, and her mom's doing an impeccable job in this area, there may come a point where Jarvis' faith is going to fail. And she might not
Right.
believe in me, might not believe in her mom, not believe in God or nobody. And I'm just like, yo, I pray that your faith don't fail. That's one
Right.
thing with my daughter, too. I'm not a parent that's like, I do coddle my daughter, but at the same time, I realize this is life.
Yeah.
And it lightens my load to know that, man, she may experience life hard one day. I don't want that to happen. I will be there, but it may happen.
Right.
And so part of me even kind of grooms her for that.
Mm-hmm.
Not in a life is hard, Jaren, you
Yeah.
better be ready for it. But
Right.
in some at some level though, when I'm talking to her, I'm doing that.
Yeah.
It's like the guiding of the sheep. You know what I mean? Like I'm like, okay, yeah, okay, and then I might let her fall and
Mm-hmm.
don't pick her up. You
Mm-hmm.
know, scenarios like that, or I might let something happen and just be like, and just to see what she does and
How
go,
she
oh, okay.
responds.
But I won't let it hit her as hard as I know it can hit her.
Mm-hmm.
Just want you to feel a little bit of this.
Right. Do you think like okay, like when you said earlier, your dad was of one religion, your mom was of another religion. Do you think sometimes kids can feel like they need to protect their parents when they see them going through something? Like her coming to you saying that, like, you good, you in this house by yourself. Like she feel like, okay, my dad is not with my mom, then he must be not miserable, but he must be kind of lonely. Like, let me see what's going on with him. Like, do you feel sometimes, as children, we naturally want to protect our parents instead of just being kids?
Oh yeah, I mean, at my when I was young, I felt that a lot.
Yeah,
Shoot, there's
I
times I
did too.
wanted to, you know what I mean? I love my dad. There's times I wanted to do things to my dad to protect my mom. You know what I
Right,
mean? Like, nah, we about to I'm plotting up scenarios like this is what's gonna go down this day at this time.
right,
This is what's happening. You know,
hmm,
like I want to see my mom happy. I want to
right,
even with my dad. I want to see my dad happy. You know, and
hmm,
I'm gonna do this so this doesn't happen to him.
hmm,
You know, if I heard somebody saying something outside, like, "Oh yeah, we're gonna get dude," I'm like, "Oh man, I gotta. How can I deter this?" Now, as a young kid, I think that's not good for a young child to be having to be able to think like that.
hmm.
Like I think that's too much weight.
It is weight.
Like and no in those particular scenarios, you know,
Right.
my daughter coming to me while I'm sitting on the couch, I think it's the innocent part of her being a young
Hmm.
girl because my son did nothing like that. He
Right.
doesn't do that. You know what I mean? When I'm with my son, he ain't. So you good? You need what me? You know what I mean? And I don't knock him. I ain't. But it's the girl in her. Like you okay, Dad? You need some love.
But your
But
your
I
son,
think yeah.
but the dynamics are
Huh?
different with them because they have different mothers too, right? Because you weren't married to Mel, you wasn't married to Nehemiah's mom.
No.
So this is what I'm saying. So the dynamics, the conversation probably would most likely be different because she's, you've been with her since birth. Like you've always been in her life, like hands on, like living with situation. With your son, it was a little different. You've been his father, but not an everyday, hands on whatever type of situation. So you feel like that's why the dynamics will be different. His response,
No, I just know my son.
his
Like
just
he just
personality.
yeah, because I mean he came around a lot. You know what I mean? He
Hmm.
came around a lot. Of course, it wasn't every single day,
Hmm.
but long vacations he came around, and I just knew when I used to see him. I'm like, even though I wasn't around like that, you know, people would say, "Oh, you don't know him like I know him." Like, nah, I know, like I know that dude. Like I know his spirit. This dude is me. I
Right,
see
right.
it, and I'm like, he don't need. Even then, he didn't need all of that and I mean maybe it's girls. He didn't need all of that smothering and I just started to see it like his dynamics was. I mean, of course he wanted my nurturing, but it
Hmm.
was more so like my assurance and affirmation
Mm,
and
that was good.
and we had this we just got this type of bond, especially as he got into his teenage years. It was like he was like me. When I was living out of state and I came to New York and saw my dad, what's up, Dad? Went and got something to eat. All right, I'm out of here. I'm going to hang out with my friends. You know, I didn't. That's just what I did.
Yeah.
And so when my son came to visit in his teenage years, and he like, "Hey, what's up? Nah, I don't want to hang out. I don't want to do that." I didn't get mad. I was like, "This
Mm,
dude is
he
becoming a
doing him.
dude." Like,
Hmm.
yeah, I never, you know. And then different perspectives, mother and father. You know what I mean?
Right, right. Got you. So what can you speak on in reference to like, all right, you're an author. You have what's this about to be the third book?
No,
You have a
this is
workbook,
the two books.
the second
And
book,
I
and
got
a workbook.
I got to finish Value of Relationships Volume 2. That's another one that's coming.
Okay. So we got okay. So name the titles of the other two.
The first book is The Value of Relationships,
Right, relationships.
Principles to Building a Solid Foundation, and then the second one is The Value Workbook. So
That's
those
the
two go,
workbook.
yeah, those two go hand in hand. I would
Right.
take the Value Workbook for people that are dating, and then somebody that people that may be in a committed relationship already, they can revisit that. Because there's
Absolutely.
some questions in there. Like there's 30 questions to ask while dating. Somebody could probably ask those questions now because they probably never asked them and revisit their foundation. Like, you know what? Hold on. Let me ask you this question right here.
Mm-hmm.
You
Mm-hmm.
know?
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So you got the book and the workbook. You have the consulting firm, you're a podcaster, you're a musician, you're a lyricist, okay? You're a lyricist. And there's something else you have going on. What am I missing? I'm missing something. There's something else. I know you do the motivational speaking, but there was one other thing I feel that
Relationship coaching.
relationship coaching. No, that's relationship coaching.
That's the
That's
mechanic.
iron.
Yeah. Fire Iron Consulting is the name of the business. I do
Okay.
relationship facilitating or coaching, however people want to name it.
Okay.
The music, the podcast, the book, and that's it.
Yeah, that's it. And the
They
engagements.
all coincide with one another. So I
It's
don't
all
do nothing that's
connected.
too far out there. Like I'm not about to be doing no plumbing out here.
Oh, and you have the kiosk in the mall where you working with
Yeah, I
Shannon.
have a kiosk in the mall.
Tell
It
the people
actually
which mall it
transitioned
is.
over. It's in Cumberland Mall, Atlanta, Georgia. The stand actually transitioned over to me last week, so
Oh,
you'll see a lot of
congratulations.
value gear out there.
Okay,
Um,
now.
you'll see stuff out there that promotes purpose, change, motivation, love, happiness, joy, God. That's what you're gonna see when you come there. You can stop by. You might have a life changing experience. I may have a life changing experience from encountering you, but more than
Mhm.
likely you will not leave the same because that's not what it stands for. That's the value station, the transformation station.
Mhm.
Lives have been impacted
Oh,
at
y'all,
that
oh, y'all
station, and
might,
it's
y'all
going.
might see, y'all might see some of our shirts up there too. We throwing that out there real quick.
Yeah. We
We
could
throwing that
we
out there
could
real quick. We got divine
we just
connections
gotta
going
we
on
just
here.
gotta
We
we just
gotta
gotta
make that
crunch them
happen.
numbers.
We gotta see. We gotta see what it's looking like over there. But what was
Gotta
I gonna
crunch
say?
them numbers.
That's it. Let's go. Are you a millionaire yet?
She's saying let's go, y'all, but I'm telling y'all right now, man.
Let's go. Listen, I just told you when I'm gonna be out there. I want to put it out there. I don't like saying everything I'm doing,
All
but
right.
we
I'm gonna
gonna
give
do
you the
this.
low price.
We're gonna do this. We're gonna do this. We're gonna do this. But
Y'all heard that.
are
I'm
you
gonna
a
give it a
millionaire
low
yet?
price, and we're gonna see. I'm a millionaire in happiness and peace and joy right now. I'm not having touched physically $1 million yet,
Are you
but
close to it?
am I
You
close to
close
it? I
to
don't
it,
know.
Mel. You do know. With all
Look at
these
this mic I got.
with all these brains, all that you doing for other people, all the blessings, are you close or not? Answer.
I'm not close yet.
The halfway mark.
This is not a financial podcast.
It's always a financial podcast.
I'm not close. No,
It's
I'm
always
gonna
a
be honest. I'm
financial
not close.
podcast.
I'm not close yet. I'm not close yet.
You're not
His
close yet.
thing. My objective. I wouldn't mind being a multimillionaire, which I believe I will be.
You will be.
Um, but at the end of the day, my objective right now is to be very wealthy in peace. Real talk, because I
Love it.
realize that we are outside of, you know what I mean? I'm not knocking people that are getting that bag and getting that money, but I recognize from an evangelical standpoint and a perspective, I want everybody to be wealthy. I'm going to be wealthy. I am wealthy. Now the thing
Right.
is that I desire so much peace because we are in a cold world. I know it looks sunny
Yeah.
outside some days and you got the vacation photos on social media, but I encounter
Mhm.
people that are like going through it, man.
Mhm.
Like going through it. And there's
Yeah.
moments where I'm like, man, I want peace more
Mhm.
than anything. And I've sat in homes and been in positions with people who are multimillionaires making, or people who are making just tons of money a month with no peace.
No
And I'm
peace.
like, when I experience those moments, I'm like, and I'm like, God, I'm not immune. I'm not, what's the word? I'm not exempt from experiencing this.
Right. Right. Right.
So I value my peace first, and then the other things. Because here's the thing, that comes by default. It goes back to the servitude mentality.
Yeah.
That's the millions are gonna come by default.
Right. Absolutely.
The highest point, you know, this is my thought pattern. Everybody might not think the way I think, and that's okay. But Jamel's thought pattern: the highest form of prosperity in the kingdom is souls. The lowest form of prosperity is money.
It's money. Facts.
So our
Facts.
perspectives are different.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? As I do what I believe part of my calling is to reconcile and salvage relationships and restore people back to the original maker of their lives. As I'm doing that, God continues to bless me and does what he does for me. You know what I mean? Like, so, you know, here's an example. Without even being a millionaire, I have a house, and I'm gonna take somebody with you because somebody watching will be like, oh, word, I didn't know that. I have a house, I have a house on a lake. It's a
Excuse me.
dope house. You know what I mean? Overseeing a nice lake. It has a nice amount of land. You got the fire pits. I got another home up in part of Georgia is that? Swanee, Georgia. This joint is laid out. Then there's a joint I got over in Kuwait. It's it's like a villa. Little villa joint over there.
That's big
And
now.
I know, huh? Yeah, I know somebody. Dang, somebody like, dang, that dude got it going on. Yes, I do. That's the value of relationships. What I'm talking right there, because I literally have these homes. These are homes that people that I value, that have crossed my paths in life, and we have currency relationships. We value each other to that extent that literally, if I got in my car right now, I could drive to this house on the lake, and I could go inside that house and do whatever I want. At any time I want, stay for however long I want. If I get on a plane and fly to Kuwait, I can go to that villa and have access to that villa, any floor, any room, any refrigerator, anything in there. I can stay there as long as I want. That's my villa.
Right.
There's a spot in Delaware. I got a couple spots in Delaware I could go to. So I think people need to have, when we begin to see it that way, we value relationships to a whole nother level.
Absolutely.
That I don't even have to have it, but I have it.
Right. Say that part.
And most people are chasing after these things, but my perspective is different. Once again, I value the relationship, so therefore I don't necessarily always need it. I'm going to really have one of my own that I desire. But if I want to go to my house on the lake, yo, I'm coming through. Or I might not even have a call. If I go there and the door's open, I can just walk right in.
Right.
And chill.
Yeah.
And enjoy the house on the lake for a good weekend or a good week. Most people can't do that because you know why? They don't value relationships.
Right.
They too busy sometimes coveting, or they're chasing let me stop.
Woo! Come on in here. Come on, Mel. You know what it is. It's the reason why I asked that question.
I said that in my new song.
What's that? What they chasing?
I said I know whose I am and whose I are. So when you see me, you see the image of God. It's not blasphemy. Chill, homie. Got some dudes in the hood that are still blasphemy. A mommy that a mask for me. And I ain't got to chase the bag, little man. The bag chasing me.
Period. Well.
Anyway.
But listen, I asked the question because I want people to also understand, God will make room for your gifts and he will take care of you financially, if you're being obedient. We were having a conversation recently, in my church, people were speaking about, being pulled away from God and all those different things. And what I've come to learn about God, this is just me. I'm speaking about me. I had to go through different changes, being a single mom, having a crazy job where, I'm going to automatically be stuck 16 hours while going to school, was pregnant, going to school. The things you want to do, you will make time to do. So if you're really trying to make time for God, God will move things around for you. But sometimes what happens is we'll convince ourselves that we can't do this and we can't do that. So the reason why I brought up the monetizing part is, God will make room for your gifts, but he will also take care of you. So you need to make sure that what you are doing is from him. That's why in the beginning of this, I was saying how important it was that you understood, I stay in my lane. Like I do what my gifting is. I'm not going to do what Shan's do. We partners, but we two different individuals. He's shaking out over here, but I stay in my lane. That's not my thing. So God's going to take care of me, and what my situation is. So when it comes to being an author, doing motivational speaking engagements and having your books and doing the podcasting thing, I wanted you to speak on how you can monetize doing these things, because some people will see, oh, the only thing I know how to do is write, but am I going to really make money doing that? Yes, you absolutely can if it's your actual gifting. So that's what I want you to tap into. Of course, I make jokes about you
Oh
being a
yeah.
millionaire. I know you're going to be a millionaire.
Nah,
That's light.
nah. But you got, I mean, so in that instance, people, you might as well get some paper for the pain.
Yeah.
The pain that you've been through, you might as well get some paper for it. And yes, it does. I mean, and once again, everybody's motives and intentions for what they're doing is different.
Right.
I don't want to say happen. I believe that God has literally favored me and
Yeah.
given me relationships where certain times the monetary conversation is not needed.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't take that for granted. I'm very grateful for that, because there's times where
Right.
I'm like, man, okay, thank you, God. Like, and there's times where, yeah, money is needed, but I try to balance it out, because sometimes I could find myself trying to follow the crowd
Come
and
on,
being like,
Mel.
okay, I got to get this, I got to get all this, and then I can get through that door. And sometimes if I'm not quiet, I miss the opportunity for God to do what He's doing for Jamel, because He's
Yeah.
like, nah, Jamel, I got a path
That
for
ain't
you
for
that it
you.
doesn't require that.
Right.
It's not just faith. Yeah, I got to put in some work. I got to put in some oomph. I got to put in some time and do what I got to do. But at the same time, some things don't require all of that.
That's a fact. That's a
And
fact.
I found myself sometimes exhausting energy and exhausting even money. And then the opportunity came for the same thing I just exhausted all this money into that didn't even work.
See that? Ooh, help
And
somebody
I'm
with
like,
that.
oh man, like why did I do that, man?
Yeah. Yeah. The
Yeah.
excitement,
Nope.
you
So
get caught
now,
up. Mm-hmm.
even with that's what I was saying with the whole servitude and the business thing. Yeah. Of course I own my business, but I'm not in a rush to be the owner of something.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm even learning that from my fiance now, man. She does finances and she like, nah, we don't need to do that. And I'm like, sometimes I'm just so driven. I'm like, nah, we could do that next month. She like, we could wait.
So
What
now,
about next year? What about next
yeah,
year? I'm like, next year? Oh, okay.
next year comes quick. The
Yeah, but
years are
I just
flying.
dumb it
So
up
you'll be
once
saying
again.
next year, and next year is coming in 2 seconds. So that means get
Yeah, I
prepped
just
and
humble
get ready for
myself and be
whatever it
like, you know
is.
what?
Yeah,
I respect her wisdom and just leave it at
absolutely.
that.
All right, we
Because
ain't
I
leaving
can't
it
see
at
it
that.
all.
We ain't leaving it at that. Where does young lady come from?
My mic is something
Where she
happening with
come
my
from?
mic. I can't hear you. I
Thank you
can't
for the
hear you.
segue, sir. We ain't leaving that alone. We listen. The relationship mechanic is in a relationship. We got to know how this works. We got to know who this person is to
She's
be
from
able
she's
to.
from a small she's from a small town that people may not a lot of people don't even know. It's in North Carolina, Seaboard, North Carolina. If somebody know where that is, bless your heart.
Listen, no one knew what
It's a beautiful
Sharpsburg
place.
was. That's what mom moved to. We ain't know when no
It's
Sharpsburg
a
was.
it's a beautiful place though. It's next to, I don't know if anybody people may know of Roanoke Rapids or Jackson, but it's a beautiful place.
Jackson.
She has a beautiful family. I can't go into that whole story of how I ended up meeting her, but it was just
Why
powerful.
not? We want to know. We got to know. You're the relationship mechanic. Don't end this without helping us to understand. I'm the relationship mechanic, and this is what it is. This is why I'm
Okay,
flourishing.
this is okay. I'll do this, and this is a large part of why my growth is taking place the way it is right now.
Come on.
Was it last year? This is 2022.
I
This
told
was
you everything
2020.
flying. Mm-hmm.
In 2020, I went through a relationship scenario with someone, and it was short lived, and I was going to potentially marry this person.
Mm-hmm.
And without going into the depths of that story, it didn't happen. And it wasn't because of like we were mean towards each other. It was this person just decided that they didn't want to go to that depth,
Right.
So they said, no, I'm cool. They said yes, but then they said, I'm cool. So I said, okay. And I remember it was on a Friday. And then that Saturday, I got into a Lyft to go home. And there was this lady I met in the car who was a prophetess. And I'm not just throwing this around just to be like, but this lady was a prophetess.
Mm-hmm.
And she started to read my life and
Mm-hmm.
just tell me about myself. And to make a long story short, she said, if the relationship you were currently in doesn't continue, God will raise up another mighty woman of God at the beginning of the year.
This is the
And I
driver?
said,
This the Lyft driver?
this is the driver.
Love it.
Yeah. So I'm like, okay, fair enough. We'll see. That was in November of 2020.
Mm-hmm.
December comes, 2021, January 1st. I'm at the stand. There's a young lady coming out of the store, and I was intrigued by her afro. She had like the natural
The
hair
natural.
afro, and I was like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Yo, your fro is dope." She was like, "Thanks." And then we started talking. Um, I got her number. I think I asked her, "Did you do you believe in God?" I think I might have asked that because I know I'll be asking that to everybody. And well, anyway, I got her number. So I got a number, and I'm not thinking about the prophetess.
Mm.
Got a number. We start talking. We texting and everything. And why I think it was like maybe like a month in, I thought about the prophetess. I said, I wonder, because I was like, this was the first at the first of the year. I didn't know it was gonna be the first day of the year. So
Yes.
then what I started doing is I started checking for attributes of the mighty woman of God. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean? She believed
Explain
in
that.
God.
Explain that.
I'm about to go there.
Okay,
She
go
believed
ahead.
in God. She believed in Jesus. She wasn't as well as versed as me or as in depth, but she did believe. We did devotions and we still do them. But in my mind, I was thinking, okay, is this the mighty woman of God? Because I had this image,
Mm-hmm.
mighty woman of God, go back and forth with scriptures, you know what I mean? Um, Telling me about what a pastor said last week and all this stuff right there. This is my depiction and my perspective of a mighty woman of God.
Yours. Your
So part of
depiction.
me, and we've shared this conversation, Almighty Man of God. We shared this conversation. And so February comes and she would visit and we would go places and I'll be like, wow, this relationship is dope. It's amazing. Is this the mighty woman of God? Like, cause I'm, I'm, I know she believes in God. I know she loves God, but I'm like, my perspective again is what I have in my head of what a mighty woman of God looks like. So one day I'm reading this verse and it's talking about, it's in Corinthians, it's talking about Paul where he has this thorn in his flesh.
Yeah,
And God
thorn in the
says,
side.
my strength is made perfect in your weakness.
Yeah.
And when I read that, I sat there and I started thinking about her and I started thinking about me, like, mighty woman of God, mighty man of God. I was like, what is a man of mighty man of God? And I never asked her. I'm like, what is that? I'm like, because people would always see me and be like, mighty man of God. I'm like, what does that even mean? And in that moment, it was like God was like, Jamel, when my strength is made perfect or revealed in
Yeah.
your weakness or the feeble part of your life or the feeble part of your life, that's when people see the mighty man of God. He said it's not about all the verses or the scriptures or the Bible studies you went to. He said, no, it's when in that weakness or that feeble part of your life where my strength is revealed and people say, mighty man of God. Now, I'm reading that, and then the following day, we were at this waterfall thing. I'm sitting there with her, and it hit my head again. I was like looking at her like, because I'm a long haul type of person. Like, yo, if
Mm-hmm.
this is the one, if this is maybe with the prophet, then this is it.
Yeah.
Like, I ain't with this. Let's keep on going and hypothetically, I'm like, nah. And I'm looking like, man. And then that verse came back to me, and I was like, and God was like, she's a mighty woman of God, and I was like, what? And so I grabbed her hand. I was like, yo, you're a mighty woman of God. She was like, thank you. But then I started to break down the whole scenario of how I came to that conclusion. And in that moment, it's like literally God dismantled everything in my head
Mm.
or everything in me that what I thought. Now not to his thing, and let me make this disclaimer, not to say that we don't want those attributes of a person. People, pray, whatever the case may be. But just because you could pray loud and proud and,
Don't
and
mean
speak in
nothing.
tongues and carry your Bible doesn't mean you're a mighty man or a mighty
Don't
woman of
mean you're
God.
deliberate. Nope.
So in that position right there, I know she has a thirst and a hunger for
Yeah.
the things of God. And in that moment, God, I was like, in that moment, I made this declaration in my head. I said, I'd rather have a woman that's weak, or let me just say feeble and
Vulnerable.
willing to to for God than a person that's standing in their own strength, trying to walk in their own strength for God. And so in that moment, I was like, I'm talking about it shattered everything in me, even of myself. It was like, wow,
Love it.
when your strength is revealed, that's when I'm mighty. So therefore, in that moment, I was I became so acclimated and in adoration of the area where she was not as strong in. I
Right.
was like, because that's actually where he shows up. And so now when we were as we're walking through life, I'm seeing his might in a
Mm.
different way. Like, oh snap. This is a mighty woman of God. Like, wow. If we're doing a devotion, if we're doing a devotion, and I may know the verse because I may have read it more than her, but she gives me a depiction of what it means. I'm like, dang, like yo, like that's freaking fire. It's not because it is what is showing me that's what makes it mighty.
Right.
It's not about everything she knows or I know. It's about when in that weak area of our life, when he show up, that's when you see the might.
Yeah, God.
Ain't got nothing
Ooh.
to do with you. So that's
Right.
gonna help couples right there because we sometimes even now we tiptoe or not even tiptoe, we step into the for those that have been in church or been in the Bible and they're a couple, they may be looking like, well, he ain't no mighty man of God. He don't pray and he don't his prayer may not be that deep.
Right.
Or her prayer may not be that deep. She might God protect him and love on him and keep him. And you like, that ain't no mighty woman of God. No, that was might right
That
there.
was Mike.
That was powerful right there.
Hmm.
That was
Love it,
strength
Mal.
right there.
Love it, Mal.
You know what I'm saying? So it what that does is on a daily basis when I'm either talking to her or if I'm with her, I'm seeing his strength being revealed right before me. So it's like, wow, like, and then when I'm looking at it in her, I'm seeing a reflection in me, and I'm like, oh snap! It's showing me how we both need him, and both of us
Yeah.
in our weakness is the only time that his strength is revealed.
Mm.
Just
Yes,
because I'm
sir.
standing, it don't matter how many times or how many. It don't matter if I know 1,000 scriptures and she knows 5. It doesn't make me more mightier than her.
Right.
At any moment, God could use her to accelerate our relationship.
That's a fact.
You better dumb it on down, Jamel, and recognize that your strength. That's what was happening with Paul in that moment. Because as you continue to read the verse, he said, "I see that this was done so I wouldn't be exalted above measure."
Yeah.
Meaning, so you don't think you to be all the end all to all this happiness in this
Hmm.
relationship. No, it's because
Hmm.
of me, bro.
It's because of
It
me,
ain't because
fam.
you know all the verses, Jamel, and because you sat up late night praying and got on your knees. Oh, that's why. And not to say we don't want those things. They do enhance the relationship. But don't be sitting there for a moment thinking it's because I prayed 10 days. That's why our marriage is blossoming.
What they say, don't be so earthly, so heavenly bound that you know earthly good. What's the saying?
Yeah.
Like saying you just
Yeah,
so
that's
much into the
it.
word, you missing everything else. My God, I
I'm
love
learning.
that.
I'm learning so much. When I went back to see her family, I was just sitting there like, wow, because that was for a person like me, that was the value of relationships right there.
Hmm.
At its rawest form. Like this is just a raw relationship with God.
Hmm.
May not know all the verses. So what? You got a
Right.
raw relationship with him. You love him.
You love him. Yeah.
I'd rather have this is the thing. I would rather have that woman than a woman that knows all these verses, but oh, here I go. But don't know how to cater to your soul.
Yeah. Help somebody,
Don't
Mel.
know how to just say, "Hey, baby, sit down. Let me rub your feet today."
Yeah. You look tired. Take
You
your
could you,
shoes
you,
off.
you could pray me out of you could pray me out of war, and I need that.
Right.
But that cater to my soul, that touch different right there.
Yes, sir.
She from the South. Shout out to all the Southern women, man. Southern women rock. And I'm talking about you gotta have an accent too. You okay, Jamel? You all right? I got that for you. Oh, you
No.
better stop playing.
No.
Oh,
Mel
oh.
was out of control. Yo, I
No,
love
but
it. I love
real
it.
talk. That actually God has utilized her and still is to shift. That was a big paradigm shift for a person like me.
Love
Because
it.
he's been walking with me for a while. I've been studying for a while. I've been around a lot of leaders. I've done some stuff in ministry. And that literally, for that to shift was because she entered my world. And here's the thing, I could have missed the greatest thing ever.
Right. Right.
Because I was almost starting to depict like, I don't know. Wasn't a bad person, was a great person, but I
What
was
God?
looking from a different lens.
Yeah.
And he utilized her to clean that lens. And I was like, oh, snap.
Love
This
it.
is it.
Ooh, I love it.
So
I
I
love
asked her
it.
to marry me.
Yeah, so I asked her to marry me. Yo,
Because I'm not, my thing is if you know something, do something.
do something. Do something.
If you know it, then do it. I'm not saying like right then and there I asked,
I was
but
gonna hit you with a
I
line you
just
had.
knew. I was gonna ask.
Some years ago during the conversation, me and you were talking. I was about to hit you with the line you said one time. Me and you was going in about something, yo. You said, dang, we started talking about something. And I just remember you like, you know what I'm saying, niece? Because everybody talking about man up, they need to man down. And I was like, facts though. Like, they need to man down. Meaning, like, when I'm bringing this up because he basically had to man down. He had a whole other thought pattern of what she's supposed to look like. God brought her the prophetess to confirm, like, no, this is what this is. Don't miss it. Basically, that's what the lift prophet was for. That was God saying, Mel, don't miss me. Don't miss me because of what you've already told yourself she's going to look like. Don't miss me. So when you see her, you still messing with what you're thinking.
I'm still battling in my mind.
Down. You had to go man down and be open to hear, like, no, that's her. You know what I'm saying? That's her. She in the field out there. That's her. You know what I'm saying? That's so amazing. I love that.
Yeah. That man down. Yeah. It took that. I mean, it just took that. And the thing is, it was so, when the light bulb went off, it was so beautiful.
It happened
I was
suddenly.
Like, wow.
That's how God moves. It happened suddenly.
You became even more beautiful to me. Like, wow, this is amazing right here. It's not only did I see her in a different light, because it was like a double whammy. Like I saw her in a different light and then God in a different light. So it hit all at once. And I was like, wow, like Jamel. And it humbled me because it was like, Jamel, for a moment, who did you think you were?
Word. Humble thyself.
You thought you had your perspective. This is a perspective you had down packed. Let me just break it for you right now.
Yeah, buddy. Yeah.
You're only called mighty because of me.
Yeah. Come on, Mel. Help somebody.
I don't care how many verses you know. I don't care if you could outverse your spouse or outverse your significant other. You're only mighty because of me.
That's the one.
And I think the moment we have that paradigm shift is the moment that we'll see our significant other in a different light.
Right.
And then that's when actually the mighty power of God can begin to move.
Right.
And then that's when you are able to pray prayers like, I pray that their faith doesn't fail.
Yeah, God.
Now you ain't trying to get all deep with God every time. You're just like, God, I just pray to her. I pray to his faith. I pray that her faith doesn't fail.
You know people going to click off this thing and that's going to be their prayer, right? You know that, right? And I love it. I love it.
Listen, let me tell you something. That's not my prayer. You go check the verses. That's what Jesus prayed. I don't know where the verse, matter of fact, you know what? So, because I don't like doing this. I'm going to do this.
Go ahead. I'm giving you time. So let me ask you this.
It ain't going to take that long.
Now, God confirmed who your woman of God is. You like, I'm putting a ring on it. This what we doing. We doing it. Do you already have things in play with how you guys are going to move from here? Because you're in one place, she's in another place. And how's that going to go? Because God don't just do stuff just to do stuff. He's a God of order. He's a God of decency and an order. So, where do you see this thing going? Is it going to be like a partnership when it comes to the consultant, or this is your own thing? Is she staying in her lane? Like, how is it going to go?
Before I go in there, Luke 22,
let me see.
verse 32. Just drop that in there. Luke 22:32.
22:32. Wait, I feel like I know that
Yeah, for
scripture.
people that I want them to check that. Jamel didn't make that up. That was Jesus that said that. So don't come knocking at my door if it don't work. Talk to him.
I put it in the chat. I put it in the
Um,
chat. Awesome. I love when we can. I love we can attach the word.
no, we had a discussion about this early on. You know, she understands the lane that I'm in and the level of work that I do, and I respect the level of work that she does, but she understands that her coming to where I am will be more beneficial for our relationship
Both of you.
and easier for the transition because her line of work is more movable right now than mine's.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so we both agreed to that. Like, but at the end of the day, I was like, yo, I'll go wherever. Like,
Mm-hmm.
but she agreed, you know, even in terms of my daughter being here and then mainly my business being here as well,
Mm-hmm.
it would be more difficult to uproot all of that and go to where she is
Right.
instead of vice versa. So once we
Right.
came to that agreement, because everything's all about mutual agreement, we came to an agreement.
Yeah.
Let's move forward. You know,
Let's
if there
go.
was no agreement, then we would have just had to tweak things around. And I'm easy going. So if it didn't lean on my side, there's things that I could have maneuvered in a time span to be that way,
Mm-hmm.
you know, because it's not like I don't have no education. It's not like I'm not learning something. So I
Mm-hmm.
know how to start from ground zero. Whichever way it would have went, it would have been okay. It would have been good.
Right.
But she made that comment, and I said, okay, man, that actually spoke volumes to me. Like, thank you. So let's
All
do that.
right.
Let's do that. So
Let's go. Let's
she's
go.
coming here,
Ah man, I love
you
it.
know.
Ah man, I love this, Mel. I love this. I'm so godly proud of you, sir. I'm just in awe. I'm just excited to see more what else is to come
Oh, but you know,
of
I didn't
Mr.
answer your
Jamel
question.
Jackson. Which one?
She's not. She right now she's just gonna focus on her lane, you
Oh,
know,
okay.
with her
Gotcha,
work
gotcha.
that she's doing.
Okay.
I'm not. I don't have no expectation of when she comes. All right, I'm a relationship mechanic. When I do a live, let them see you
Gotcha.
in the video and all that. No, she doesn't even. She doesn't like all of that stuff. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Really people won't even believe this. I don't really like the limelight too much, but I know that God wants to get something done. So I'm like, all right, let's just do it. Throw me out there.
That was
But
me.
she's more behind the scenes. I respect that. If at any point she desires to jump in, cool. I know I had said this to her. I understand. Um, I don't try to coach our relationship. I'll give
Right.
insight, but because I know stuff, I don't try to coach us. Like
Hmm.
I don't try to.
I
I just
love
be
that.
me when I'm with her. I don't try to be the relationship mechanic. I just be Jamel, flawed and all, whatever the case may be. Now, if something's happened, I might add insight. Like, hey, babe, what do you think about this? And just do that. But I'm not trying to coach us. Like that's.
Right.
And I respect her boundaries and what she want to do. Now, I do know this from the God standpoint. I said, listen, I'm not going to sit here and act like I don't see what's inside of you. It is very powerful to the extent of or the time frame that is going to be used. I don't know, but I know it's there. I'm
Yeah.
not going to. That's one thing I got to tell you from a
Right.
spiritual standpoint because I don't try to even get all throwing a bunch of stuff at her spiritual. But I just said I told her one day we was talking. I said I know that's in you. I see the
It's
power in
coming.
you, the
Yeah.
leader. I see it when you're around your family. People glean from you. I don't know to the extent of what it's going to be or what timing, but I know it's going to happen. I'm just glad I get to sit and watch it evolve and see this mighty woman of God
Yeah.
transpire right before my eyes. So when it does happen, yo, do
Woo!
what you do.
Fire.
Do
It's
what you do.
fire.
And I don't know what that looks like. It may be, it may be in any area, whatever area it is, you're going to kill it.
It's gonna be crazy. It's gonna be crazy. I love it. I love it. Now, do you still belong to a church?
Yeah.
You do.
I go to All Nations. It's called All Nations. It's called All Nations Worship Assembly, but they have a
Mhm.
location here in Atlanta. They have one in
Okay.
Charlotte, Chicago. I forget the other campuses, but there's one in Atlanta. Pastor Hart Ramsey,
Oh, okay. Wait, Hart
or you
Ramsey.
can
Oh, I didn't know
Dr.
that
Hart
was your
Ramsey.
church.
Yeah,
Oh, I know you used to
I've
send
been
me a
listening
few
to Hart.
things. Yeah, I've
Yeah,
been listening to him for some time, but I know you used to send me some things, but I didn't know it was because that was your actual church. That's cool.
yeah. Well, I
Nice.
started going there not too long ago because I was at a place called Influencers from Australia, and I was doing their leadership there, like leading their
Okay.
outreach team and everything. And then when
Mhm.
all the relationship stuff happened, everything kind of dispersed. The pandemic hit, and it was
Mhm.
like, but I already was already connected in terms of spiritually to Pastor Ramsey. Like
Right, right.
I knew him from Delaware because my
Mhm.
pastor there, they were like close, him and
Right.
Pastor Ramsey. And so
Okay.
I knew of him from there. So I was listening to him. Man, let me tell you, man. I used to be
God was
mopping the
good.
church bathroom,
Mm-hmm.
mopping the church bathroom floors and cleaning the toilet bowls of the school. Not to be just to show the level, like for people that want to just be in
Service.
charge. There's so much I learned when I used to be cleaning the bathroom stalls. Here's the thing: I had keys. I had keys. They entrusted me with the keys to the church building and the church school. I know people may seem that as little, but no. They didn't just let anybody have these keys.
Come
And one
on.
day, one of the leaders there said, "Hey, I'm giving you the keys." I had access to anywhere in that building. I didn't take that lightly. This was God's
Right.
building.
Yeah.
This was sacred, and I was the one in charge of those keys. And I remember look, they had CDs out too, but I remember one of the leaders had cassette tapes.
Mm-hmm.
He had a box full of cassette tapes, and he was like, "Yo, these are cassette tapes with people might not know these people, but Apostle Nate Hoken, that was one of the leaders that used to teach Pastor Ramsey.
Right.
He used to teach my pastor. Then there was a guy, Pastor Ramsey had a cassette tape, and I used to play their cassette tapes in a Walkman, mopping the floor and listening to them every night, like cassette tape. And I'm on all of that stuff was getting downloaded into me. So this
Yeah.
spirit, that's where I never even thought about that. Even when I think about it now, a lot of that came from there. I spent 7 years in that type of
Wow.
position.
Mm-hmm.
Matter of fact, this is like credential perspective. This ain't yesterday. I've been through the fire, man. I
Say
ain't toot
it.
my horn, but I've been through the fire. I've been through the process. There's a lot more fire to go through. But those nights in that bathroom, down on my knees, making sure the scrapes got out the corners, listening to those words that they was downloading, sitting. My ex-wife at that time was sitting in front of elders and couples in front of the fire pit when everybody was going out Friday night for movies. Not saying we didn't do that, but we chose over that, and we sat there for 7 years
Right.
soaking that up,
Come on, Mel. For today. Okay.
seeing and it was crazy
Wow.
seeing what mighty men and women of God were, and bringing it back to my story with my fiance, God dismantling that in that moment,
Whew.
taking
Love it.
all of those years. And not
Mm-hmm.
to say that the depiction they gave was authentic. It was great.
Right.
You need that type of, character and everything, but that wasn't what it was.
Mm-hmm.
In the moment of a time, what was that? That was 2010.
Mm-hmm.
No, 2007.
Mm-hmm.
So we fast forward to 2022. Almost 15 years later,
Come
God
on.
dismantles that in a month.
Yes,
It
sir.
says that's not what a mighty man of God is. That's not what a
Woo!
mighty woman of God is.
Love
This
it.
is what it is.
This is what it is.
So don't listen,
Woo!
for those who are well learned, don't think God will dismantle what you think is the right way in the blink of an eye,
What they
just so
say?
he could shift the dynamics of your relationship.
What's the saying? Tell God your plan. What's the saying? You want to make
I
God
don't
laugh?
know.
Tell him your plan.
Oh, yeah.
Aha! Yo, I
My
love
friend used
it.
to say the thing. My friend used to say
I love it.
the thing. The thing about your calculator and God's calculator is yours is broke.
Yours broke, fam.
You can't calculate his timing. You can't do,
You
man.
cannot. Cause
And
look at
this
his
is
timing. Look at it. Look at his timing right now. Look at his timing right now. You like, yo, niche. You supposed to start the podcast. You start the podcast. Now I done started. Look at all you had to share, bro. You wouldn't even be able to share all of this if I'd have started it back when.
let me say something, yo. And I mean,
Say
you
something.
could shut down
Say
because
something.
this is very humbling right now. This has hit me as you was talking. I was looking at you, and I just had a flashback, and I was like, yo. I always tell people, what does God, confidence, and coincidence have in common? You could be confident God is not a coincidence.
Say that. Oh, I love that.
What does God, confidence, and coincidence have in common? You could be confident God is not a coincidence. This moment is not a coincidence. Like
Right.
whether people believe in God or not, just take it, just take it as this sobering thing. Like this is right now we're in a God moment. All this information was a God moment. It's not a coincidence. Somebody's life is going to be changed. I don't know who it is. Whoever chooses to listen or watch, I don't know who it is. It may be that one person, and I'm cool with that. But the thing is, I'm going somewhere because I remember this is flashback. I don't know if you probably don't remember this, and I'm being
Let's go.
transparent. This is part of your
Transparent. Let's go.
testimony.
Let's go. Let's
Yo,
go.
I remember we was on Terrace Ave. We used to be drinking, we was lighting up some trees, weed that time, and
Weed.
people might not know what trees mean.
I know. That's what I start laughing.
Yo, this was
Old school term.
in the park back behind Bedell. And right now, my
The park,
mind just
yep.
flashed
Rochelle
back to that.
Park.
We were sitting on the playground stuff, and I remember right now, my mind just flashed back, and then it flew right to this moment and said, "Yo, this is a God moment."
It's God.
Because nobody saw this.
Nobody.
No.
Sir? Nobody.
Sometimes I could see barely down the doggone block. Even though I could see
Facts.
down the block, I couldn't see around the corner, up the street. Sometimes I could hear it. I could feel the tugging. Let me tell you this, man. When I remember when I was 13 years old, my mom had moved on Terrace. I dreaded every day. Hempstead was bad, but Terrace was like,
Different.
damn,
Yeah.
we going on Terrace?
Word.
I'm surviving on the Hikes, but Terrace?
Facts though.
Hikes was on the news. Look, Hikes was on the news. There were parts of Hempstead on the news, but Terrace was on the news.
Right. Woo.
And so when she
Thank you,
said she was
God.
moving over there, we moved over there. And I remember sitting on the curb. It was me, my brother, my brother Cash and Delph, and we
Shout
sitting
out to
there.
Cash.
And I remember looking up at the clouds, yo, and I used to be sitting there and I was like, man, I was saying this to them. They probably don't remember this. I was like, man, what happens when all of this is gone? Like everything is gone. Like the clouds is gone. There's no more sky. There's no more nothing. Like nothing. Everything's just gone. What else is there? Mm-hmm. And they was like, man, what you talking about, man? We're trying to do this. And in that moment, I wasn't smoking then.
Oh.
In that moment, that didn't start till about 14. Okay. No, actually, about 14. So then I remember in those moments after they would say what they would say, I would sit there and I felt something tugging me. I didn't know what it was, but there was like something pulling me, saying it was almost like feeling like there's something greater. I couldn't pinpoint it. Right. So I would ask those questions. But I'm saying all that to say that from those moments to sitting in the park with you and your brother and whoever, and we doing what we doing, and to be in this moment, this is a God moment. So whoever's listening to this, trust and believe the Spirit of God is behind this. Outside of the practical things we said and the spiritual things we said, the Spirit of God is behind this. This is not Jamel. This is not Shanice. This is the Spirit of God behind this, using these bodies as vessels to deliver this information with our limited wisdom.
Right.
Because he's the one that knows it all. And I'll say this, and I'm done really.
I told you it was gonna happen. Let's go.
I'll be saying this if I go to speak, and I told myself I was gonna say this whenever I go to speak. I would have people say this with me, and actually you could say it with me because you're the only one on here. But
it's people on here. I'm responding.
You could say this. You could say Jamel does not have all the answers.
I'm saying your name or my name.
No, you saying my name.
Oh, Jamel does not have all the answers.
But he knows somebody that does. And his name is Jesus Christ. Rest my case. I always do that because at the end of the day, at the end of the podcast, at the end of whatever, listen, if you say, well, what about this? And did you know? And what about my relation? And then what about the Bible? What they say about the color? Is Jesus really black? I thought he was white. And what about, listen, Jamel does not have all the answers.
Love it.
But he knows somebody that does, and his name. So check with him. Because like I said, the value of relationships, that's what it really is, Niece. Even when I push the book, I always say first the relationship between us and God, then everybody else. Not trying to be deep and spiritual, but the relationship. I'm saying first between us and the Creator, then everybody else. So when it's all said and done, after you read my book, I'm periodically pointing you back to the source. Right. That's why I did that right now towards the end of this podcast. So when it's said and done, my objective through all this stuff we talked about is to point you back to the source.
Yeah.
Because guess what? Jamel's faith may fail.
That's it. Pow. Boop. Listen, sir. Drops mic. Don't drop that mic, but drops mic. Spiritually, he dropped the mic just now. Spiritually, he just dropped that mic, y'all. Listen, mighty man of God. Thank you so much for coming on. I knew this was going to be dynamic. Of course, I'm one of those, I see it before I see it, but I didn't know all this was going to happen. I'm just thankful for you. I'm thankful for your growth. I'm thankful for your example. And I pray to just continue to allow God to be the center of everything that you do, which I know you will. Mm-hmm. But we also do know that, our faith can fail. Yes. So, that's our prayer for you as well. As you poured into us, we are pouring right back into you with the prayers, and just continue to be the dynamic person that you are. I had a few more questions, but I don't want to hold you forever. I already told you this is going to be hard for me not to keep you because there's so much we and you could go in. Like, you already know the vibes. Me and
Listen,
you can go in reference to who
man.
God is and just how he's moving. But do you have anything? I love how you just said what you just said, but do you have anything coming up, for the people to look forward to? I know the workbook is in place, everyone. Please go check him out. Make sure you follow him on all social media platforms. He has the Value Podcast. Y'all got to check out his podcast and subscribe. Don't just go watch. Subscribe, okay? He need those followers. We need them numbers up, okay? But
Yeah, yeah.
what else you got going on? Tell the people.
The most exciting thing, I just got a co-host. Shout out to my homegirl
Nice.
Lashana Stokes.
Okay.
We dropped the first episode last Monday.
Wait, I knew that. I did know that.
It was called Choices. But she's gonna be my co-host. I decided to bring her along because she has the same thought pattern as me, and so
Nice.
you're gonna start to see some dope relationship conversations going down between me and her, and
Awesome.
the direction it's gonna go and it's gonna be powerful. We got some stuff lined up that's gonna be cooking, man. To take the
Love it.
value podcast to a whole nother level.
Yeah.
Um, what else? I'm gonna finish this next book before summer.
Nice.
Then what else? The transition of the podcast is a huge thing. Y'all gonna see a lot of more. Y'all gonna see some interesting stuff going down at that doggone that kiosk, man. I'm telling you,
Love
man,
it.
because there's a
Love it.
revelation and an understanding that God gave me about how to utilize that. And for the past 7 years of managing it for my partner Dave, the transition into this new year, 7 being the number of completion, 8 the
That's
number of
it.
new beginnings.
New beginnings.
I believe I don't know all the ins and outs, but I'm stepping into something that's definitely divine. And so I'm trying to hear and I'm trying to just stare and then at the same time just trust God, like, okay, you know better than me, and trying to maintain that same focus. There's a lot that I saw over those 7 years and a lot
Mm,
that he groomed me for, and a lot of serving that was done. I'm not done, but it was not for nothing. And so
right.
stepping in this 8th year with that, the book, and a goal. I have a goal to make $100,000 revenue this year. So if we want to talk
Let's go.
finances, my goal is to have $100,000 revenue, because I know a lot of people say, "Oh, I made $100,000 this year," but was it revenue?
Yeah.
So,
Explain.
and not to
Explain.
say that you never.
Explain the difference. No, explain the difference because that's a big deal. That's a big deal.
No, I mean you can make $100,000, but were you able to keep
Right.
$100,000? You might have made $100,000 and you only were able to keep 30,000 or 40,000, which is not bad. It's still great. But
Mm-hmm.
my desire is, especially with the people that I'm around, I want this $100,000 goal for myself. January 1st of 2023, I want to be able to look and see $100,000 extra in the account.
Right. Right.
Extra.
All right. I was supposed to let you go, but real quick, just explain your take on. You just said something. You said the people I'm around. I've been interviewing people right up here. Some that come from Hempstead. They come from where we from, but they've transitioned to Atlanta. And every time I ask questions, their response is, the environment, was this. The environment was this. Explain, what is your take on how important environment is? When I'm saying environment, I mean those you choose to be connected to. Explain your take on that.
Yeah, without even being so cliche with the term environment, like you, it's important where you put the seed at. And you're a seed. So it's important where you plant yourself and who
Right.
you surround yourself around. And I definitely like to be around people that are executing because they stretch me. You know what? This
Right.
just hit my head. One day I got on the phone and I just called Dave and I said, "Yo, man, I love you, man." He was like, "I love you too." I was like, "I thank you." I said, because consistency is contagious.
Yeah.
And I said, your consistency got on me. You know what I
Mm.
mean? Not to say that
Rubbed
I
off.
wasn't being consistent, but I said, I thank you for being consistent because it's contagious and your consistency got on me. So it pushes me to be more consistent.
Yes, sir, Mel.
So that's how important the environment is. That mean when you get around people that's not just saying it, but here's the thing. It's not to say that they're just consistent in it. They're inconsistent whatever they're saying, and they're consistent in whatever they're doing. And when you're around that, it's contagious. It's going to get on
It's
you.
gonna rub off on you. Yes, sir.
It's going to whatever his thing, whatever that thing is.
Yeah.
It could be
It could be a
positive or
bad thing.
negative. So let me
Yep. It could
flip
be
it
a
both
negative
ways.
thing.
Somebody consistently being negative, that's contagious. It's
Come
going to
on
get
now.
on you.
Yes.
So therefore, I said, when I recognized that, I said, I mean, of course, I was already in the environment, but that consistency one day I just woke up. I said, man, I'm about to call him. I said, I got to tell him this consistency is rubbing off. And I just encouraged him like, yo, keep doing it. And he encouraged me, yo, you keep doing it. I'm like, bet, because I want my consistency to be contagious to somebody else.
Right.
Contagious to my significant other, to my fiance. Yes. Like, babe, you know what? You said you was going to do it, and you just still doing it.
Yeah.
You consistent. That thing got up on me. Now I'm about to do something.
Okay.
Yes, and then don't force. Don't force, because most people try to.
Come on, Mel. I know we was trying. I was trying. Just go ahead.
No, but this is answering your question. But this whole it's a whole thing going around.
Keep it a buck. Come on. Go ahead.
You definitely. Well,
I feel like
this is how he deals with me.
I feel like I know what you're about to say.
Let me.
Go ahead.
People want to understand the value of relationships and how Jamel got into these environments, or to these, and like you were talking about environment, putting yourself in the environment. Help me, Holy Spirit.
Come on, Jesus.
You can put yourself in the environment. Don't force your way.
Right.
Anything forced becomes manipulation.
That's a fact. Thank you for saying that, sir.
Don't get caught up in the cliche. I got to avoid this whole thing about get in the room, get in the room, get in the room. You get in the room, you just get in the room, you just get in the room. Definitely need that. But the way he's dealing with me, and I think this may be for somebody else too, I value relationships to the extent that I need this is for me, but let me share what happens. This may help somebody. God said, Jamel, before you try to get in the room, I need you in the room. I need you in my room. I need you in the, and he described it. He said, I need you in the upper room.
The upper room.
I need you in that room. I need you, and symbolic of, I need you in my room. I need you in my presence. I need you to get into that room. I need you to get in a space with me first before you trying to fit and go into all these other rooms.
Yes, sir.
And I wrote it down in my, and here's the thing. Look, I'm not playing. I wrote this down in my notes. This is a while ago. Yo, I didn't know I was going to be sharing it here. The upper room, this is in the book of Acts for people that may not know. This was a moment where something took place in this room, in this space. Yes, for practicality, let's just say there was a space that was created in this home. Like you can create in your home, you can create it in your closet, you create it in your car. But God, he shared me, in the upper room contains healing. It contains the Holy Spirit. It contains yoke destroying anointing. It contains miracles. It contains prophetic gifting. It contains dream interpreting. It contains love. It contains praise. It contains heavenly wisdom, prosperity, the presence of God, musical sounds or lyrics you never heard, grace, the blueprint for abundance, the tongues of fire to purify, and discipline.
Yes, sir.
That's what's in that room.
That room.
And he said, here's the thing, I need you in this room. And then when I put you in that room, it's a whole nother level.
Come on.
Because in reality, and I'm not, and once again, you heard the disclaimer for anybody's watching. I'm not saying we shouldn't want to be in the right environment and places, but sometimes we're rushing or forcing ourselves into rooms, but we really need to stay in this room for a minute. Yeah.
Love
because
it.
All those things that you think are in that room came from that room.
Or not. Because what you think is in that room may not be for you. It could be a mirage, sir, or ma'am.
Exactly.
It could be a whole.
And so I just want to encourage people that,
God.
you know, and I'm not saying once again, yes, the environment matters, but discern. Use discernment and your gut and intuition to say, is that room for me? Don't just rush with the crowd. Is that room for me? Because there's a room that listen, man. like I
Come
just
on.
said, man, in that room is yoke destroying anointing. Some of these rooms you rushing into, you think that's going to destroy the yoke that's on your life, and it's not.
Come on.
You in the
No,
wrong room.
you in the wrong room.
You in the room, but it's the wrong room.
Ooh, come on, Jesus. Come
You
on
went
in
to, you
here.
flew all the way to wherever you flew to get in
Mm-hmm.
the room because you saw something that
And it
looked like it
wasn't
could
right.
break what was up on you, but that was the wrong room.
Wrong room.
God says you in the wrong room.
God said you in the
Did you
wrong
even?
room, beloved.
Here's the thing, and somebody might watch this and be like, "Oh, he's getting all deep." Did you even? For those that believe, let me just talk to those that believe right now. Did you
Did you
even
consult
consult
God?
with? Did you consult with your Creator? Do I need to be in that room?
I just said that. Yes, sir. Did you consult the Father first?
You might not even. You might
Woo!
not even need. Your heavenly Father knows you have need of these things. Seek first the kingdom of God and all
God,
His
God's
righteousness.
righteousness.
I got to put this out there. This is how I flow. You know what I mean? And so He knows you have need of these things. So you're seeking something that He knows you have need of. So you think you need to be in the room for prosperity, but He's like, no, it's in the other room.
It's in the other room.
Because in the other room, the upper room is where the wisdom that I'm going to give you for the prosperity. It's not knocking the other. It's not knocking. It's not knocking getting in the room. But He says, what I have for you right now is not in that room.
Right.
You think you need to be in that room because everybody's in that room.
Everybody you
And
think is
really, the
somebody is
people,
in that room.
and most of the time, the people in the room need me in the room. So I need you in this room before that. Come
Come
on.
on.
But
Come
you're so busy
on.
chasing the room. I gotta get in the room. I gotta get in the room. I gotta get in the room. And once again, disclaimer for people that listen is like he's trying to knock like we should. No, we should try to be in certain environments.
Right.
But for those that have this relationship
Use
with
discernment.
God and can hear from God, use discernment. You might be wasting money on flights you ain't need to fly there.
Yep. That's a fact.
You ain't need to fly there.
Woo!
The abundance was in the other room.
Yes,
The thing
sir.
to purify your marriage was in the other room. Now we show, but use discernment. Use intuition. You ask God, consult with people. He'll speak to you. Whatever that nature, however that happens for you, do it. So I'm saying this because once again, this is me going through the fire. I spent money some time, or spent time, or exhausted energy trying to get in the room.
Right.
And so I believe at this moment of my life, that's why God was like, Jamel, before you do any of that, I need you to pause. I need you to be in the room with me. What's the length of time He wants me to do that? I don't know. There's times I turn down where people say, hey, Jamel, you want to come to this joint? I can get you in. It's nothing. It's on me. And it's powerhouses in there. And I'm like, I want to go. There's a part of me, oh man, I should. But I'm asking, okay, hold on. I'll get back with you. Let me ask you. Let me get back at you. Give it like a couple days. God, like, I don't want you there.
Come
I'm like,
on.
no, but this
Come
could
on,
do all
Mel.
this.
Help somebody, Mel.
I don't want you there.
Woo!
What you mean? This is what I've been waiting for. No. I don't want you there.
Take you another way.
And so I don't go. And what that time looks like in the upper room or in the other room, it may be maybe I'm walking through the park and He downloads something in me that I wouldn't have got at the other room.
Come on, sir.
Or something may occur and that room didn't turn out to be like the room was hyped up to be.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying it happens like that all the time, but once again, it's a discernment of the invitation. Every invitation you don't have to accept. Sometimes you get the invitation, it's like, okay, you know what? This is the one I'm going to.
Yeah.
Or you know what? This one isn't for me.
Right.
Ooh. And we got to, I'm telling you, using that will save you. It will save you some time and money, man. And there's some rooms that I know that this year I'm going to be in. And it's because I didn't force myself in the room.
Speak it, Mel. That's the
For
one.
a lot of us that's listening to this, the phone call of the room you're trying to, the room you're trying to get in, a phone call is going to come from that room or somebody acquainted with that room because you didn't try to force or rush or manipulate or let's just say, for lack of better terms, try to befriend somebody to get into the room, but you trusted God and you kept doing what you was doing and working on your craft behind the scenes and writing that book and building up your podcast and doing what you was doing. And now the room calls you and say, hey, we got this opportunity. You want to? And you like, oh, now you in the room.
Mm-hmm. And now
you
people
ain't have to
figure
weasel
out
your
how
way.
you do that. People were like, wait, what? Who? How he do that? Woo,
Yeah.
God.
Don't try to rush in the room, because many of us ain't even prepared to be in those rooms.
Yo, I was about to say that.
Because you're going to get in there, you're going to make
Ready.
yourself look like a fool. And I've
Yep.
seen that in the rooms. I've been in the rooms.
Mm-hmm.
I've been in the rooms and see people ask some of the elite, not that they're better, they're just different. Some of the elite people and somebody in the room, because I don't know how you got in the room. Maybe you paid your way to be in the room, and that's, and you asked to, you say something, it's like,
has nothing to do with nothing. Looking
your
crazy.
money got you in the room, but you wasn't even prepared to be in this room.
Your money got you in the room, but who you are is now revealed. Woo!
It's revealed.
My God. The enemy will make a fool out of you fast.
Yeah.
Because you thirsty to be in the room that you don't belong in.
Yeah.
You're in the wrong room.
And a lot of us probably know we
My
need
God.
time in the other. We need time in the room or the presence of God, and we're going. And once again, things can take place, but we're talking about business wise.
Right.
You go to these. You want to be in this room, and not to say that you can't have these.
This is spiritual as well. This is spiritual.
Yeah, spiritual as well, but not to say that
you be seen, but you ain't allow God to shape and mold. You just want the name. You just want to be seen. You want to be connected to the people. So, you want to skip God.
I'm glad you said that. What's the purpose behind you wanting to be in the room?
Mm-hmm.
Is it to be seen or to really glean in and get information? Because that's going to matter. That's going to matter who you attract even when you're in the room.
Right.
That's gonna matter the level of value.
Right.
If it's just to be seen, look, that's nothing. Everybody can get some
do
money
that
and take some pictures and
anybody
pay to get in the room so I could be seen.
Mm-hmm.
Nah. I got his thing. And this is for me. For everybody, it's different. I'm not pushing my conviction on you, but my purpose for being in the room when I'm in the room is a big type of purpose. Way bigger than what they thinking when I'm in that room.
Right. Way bigger than a photo.
Nah, it's bigger than that, man. We're talking about, look, what happened. If anybody dares to go back and read the book of Acts, and I pray that while you're reading it, that God will enlighten you and give you some type of revelation or understanding behind that. But there's a lot that took place in the upper room. And when they came out the upper room, we ain't even going to talk about what happened right there, but we could briefly say, because when they came out the upper room, it was one of the greatest revivals ever.
They were not the same.
There was different languages being spoken. There was different interpretations being given. There was a different type of anointing being spoken.
Deliverance.
You know what I'm saying? When they came out that room. And then they start, this is what
they look different. They look different.
Then they began to go from house to house. Then they went into all these other rooms, and they took what they got out of that room into the other rooms, and the whole community started changing.
Yes, sir. And that's what it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be like fire. That's why it's not. One person's not supposed to be winning. One person's not supposed to be growing. You are supposed to ignite, and it's supposed to be like a fire. People are supposed to catch on fire when they encounter you. People are supposed to catch on fire when they encounter you. You called David and said, I love you. Thank you for being consistent, because you caught on fire. He rubbed off on you. And that's what we spoke about. Oh, Jesus. That's what we
And that was from being in rooms with him that I didn't force my way in.
Right.
I didn't manipulate my way in.
He said, oh no, I was invited.
Yo,
you paid to be here? God. Oh, no, I was invited. I'm sorry, we're not the same. Yo, God, what are you doing?
Listen, this ties to it. This ties to it. We definitely, I'm telling you, this is connected to the room. We got to close after this.
Jesus, I know.
the way me and Dave met connects to this story about being in the room. Everybody's story may not happen this way, but I wasn't trying to, once again, force or look to be in somewhere. Mm-hmm. 2014, going through a relationship thing, about to be, going through the divorce. My brother Delph, Mike, that lives in Georgia, knew Dave and knew what Dave was doing in Georgia with schools and just impacting people, motivation. Sent me a picture on Instagram. Yo, you should check this dude out. He's doing life-changing stuff. I scrolled through the dude page real quick, saw a picture on there, and I'm sharing this on here, but we're gonna do this on Me and Dave podcast. I'm looking at the picture. It was a picture of Joseph's robe, and he said, Joseph's robe of many colors. Sorry, I'm talking, but sometimes I get to looking and I'm in the world.
No, you good.
Joseph's road with many colors. No matter if your wife leaves you, your husband leaves you, friendships, family leaves you, they can't take your road with many colors. I said, wow, this is
Ooh,
powerful.
love
I'm
that.
living what he just posted. Took a
Right.
snapshot of it. That was 2014 of June. I'll never forget it. And no, 2014 of May. Snapshot of it. I said, man, if I ever see this dude, I'm gonna let this dude know that I'm living this post that he just put up. But I want to save this. Threw away, turned off Instagram
Broke
because I
it.
wasn't even into that like that. Boom. June, I said, man, I need to get out of here. I left the state of Delaware, went to Atlanta. I can't deal with this stuff right here. It was June, the first week of June. I'm at my mom's up in her loft in her house. And I'm like, man, just I wasn't even coming outside. She's like, you want to go to the mall? I'm like, all right, cool. So we went to the mall and we walking through, same mall, Cumberland Mall. At this time, the kiosk was located on another side of the mall. We walking through and I see this guy. I'm like, that's that guy that Dolph sent me the thing of. I said, I'm about to go ask him. I'm about to go tell him. So I walked up to him. I'm like, hey, man, can I talk to you? He's like, oh, real quick. He finished the sale. He said, what's up? I said, man, this post right here, you did this? He was like, yeah. I was like, I'm living this right here, man. Like, he said, what's going on? Briefly shared a summary about my relationship. He said, whoa. He said, what you doing? I said, man, starting from ground zero. Like, God is with me. He was like, so what's up? He was like, man, let's link up, take my information, and call me. So I ended up texting him. He was like, let's meet at Starbucks. This was 2 days later. We met at Starbucks. He told me about what he was doing. In that moment, this is once again, if we revert back, I didn't have this information
Divine
I had now
connection.
about the room, but I was in servitude mode and I realized the value of relationships. I realized God is controlling everything. And I was like, you know what? He said, this is what I'm doing. I said, all right, bet, let's do it. Shook hands. Shook hands. That was it till now.
Wow.
The reason I'm saying that is because I didn't know who he was.
FaceTime video.
Sorry about that.
You know what I'm saying? I didn't know who he was. I didn't know who E.T. was. I didn't know who Inky Johnson was. I didn't know who Jeremy Anderson was. I'm naming some of these heavy hitters.
Yeah.
I didn't know who they was. I go home that night at my mom's place. I'm researching Dave's website. I see E.T. on there. If you want to succeed as bad as you, I'm like, hold on. Oh no, peep it out. Before that, I was going to Kuwait in 2013. I was at the airport about to fly to Kuwait. There's a guy standing in front of me. On the back of his shirt, it says, and then you'll be successful. I'm like, I wonder what the front of his shirt say. So I get away to find my way in front of him, and it says, when you want to succeed as bad as you want to breathe, then you'll be successful.
Nice.
I said, man, that's a dope shirt, man. I said, what's your name? He said, Eric Thomas. I was like, okay. I was like, what's up? He was going to Egypt. I was going to Kuwait. Fast forward, me and him, his plane got delayed, mine got delayed. This is true story. He'll tell you this. Wow. We sitting under a water fountain, me and Eric Thomas, talking about life.
Yeah, I love it. Oh,
Fast forward, 2014 comes. I'm in my mom's house looking at the thing. I said, hold on. That's the dude from the airport. He know him. I didn't say nothing. I didn't say nothing to Dave. I just said, I want to see where this is going. But I believe I'm in the right spot right now.
All right.
Fast forward, 2015 came. Dave's doing something with E.T. We're talking about the room. He says, yo, he's going to be at Detail R. He's coming to Atlanta. We're going to be doing like a little conference. Me, Eric Thomas, Inky Johnson, Jeremy Anderson. I didn't really know who these guys was. Like Inky Johnson, Jeremy Anderson. But obviously right now, these dudes is world changers. But I didn't know at that moment. I'm like, I'm just serving.
Just serving.
Trying to do what I do. If I tell you the pain that I had at that time, people probably be like, you stupid. But I was in a position that God wanted me to be in. So anyway, we went to DTLR. We get there. I'm chilling. Eric Thomas walk in and he go, and I'm like, and he like, dude from the airport. I said, yeah, me. And he said, stay right there. And when he said stay right there, he wasn't saying stay right there like I'm about to come talk to you. It was that stay right there like don't move. You're in the right spot. Yeah. And I just said like this. I just nodded my head like, think about it. I had his number in my phone all this time. Then I had told Dave prior to, I still didn't tell Dave. Right. Then I ended up telling him, he was like, yo, why you ain't tell me? I was
why
like,
you ain't say nothing?
Right time. I said, now's the timing. And he was like, yo, that's crazy. And I was like, I'm here, bro. I ain't going nowhere. I was like, even when he said stay right there, I said, this is it.
This is God.
And that allowed doors for other rooms for me to be able to go into these rooms. And so I'm saying all that to say, when we was talking about the room, a lot of us want to force our way in the room. No, just be you. Yes, Continue to serve. Finding success, I called it, my chapter in my book is called Finding Success in Serving. Meaning when you serving versus seeking success, success comes by default. It
Yeah.
automatically happens. Most of us is running out here trying to see, how can I be the greatest? How can I just when you submit your vision to another man's vision, trust me, your vision is going to come to pass.
Yes.
A legitimate vision, though.
Servitude.
When you submit it, it's going to come to pass. And my
Right.
headphones just sound like they dying because I just heard the battery thing go.
Okay. Yo, listen, sir. Woo! God, you are
I want to say, let me
something
say this.
else.
As before you even, I'm just going to tell you, this is what I want to say.
Go
I
ahead.
thank you for having me on here. This is real talk, 100. This is the best podcast or interview that I've had ever.
Wow.
Ever.
I don't know what to say.
Word is born. Word is
Yo,
born. This is not
I
like one of the
appreciate
greatest.
you.
This is not one of the greatest. This is the greatest because I feel things in me and I felt things in me churning and coming out that you pulled on, or just even the energy pulled on that I never did in no podcast or no interview. Never.
It's
Like
God.
even the level of energy and the excitement and everything that's coming through me. Like usually I get excited, but not as animated as this. And so this I just want to say that I thank you. This is dope. It pulled on some things. That's how I know it's not me. I'm
Yeah.
usually I still sometimes get somebody interviewing me, I might be still a little more conservative or
Right.
whatever, because maybe they're not pulling on me the right way or something. And I'm
Mhm.
just not trying to fake being hype. And it's like right now,
Right.
I'm just like, I'm bursting out the seams. So I thank you for having me on here. Real talk.
Listen, I appreciate you, sir. You're welcome. I don't know how to respond to that. All I can say is thank you, and all I can say is God. It's God. You know, I try to explain before we got on. I'm like, yo, God about to do something. Like God about to do something, and neither of us saw this to this. You know what I'm saying? To this level of what God was going to do. Like I said earlier, you know, continue to be unapologetically you. I know greater things are coming for whatever you put your hands on, because you have such a journey that's all connected to God's divine, all he has for you, your purpose, your destiny, all that he has for you is all connected to what is to come. Just want to just say, we're gonna see each other soon anyway. And we're gonna do some other things connected to that kiosk. All right, I'm speaking it.
Oh yeah.
He trying to call me out again, y'all. But we in a different room right now. I'm in the right room right now. So we're gonna make this thing happen. We're gonna make this thing happen. We're not gonna talk about it. We're gonna be about it. Listen, everybody, please, sir, please, ma'am, if you are not already, follow Jamel Jackson on Facebook. Follow him on Instagram. You'll have an Instagram soon for the Value Podcast, correct?
Yeah, I'm talking to somebody right now to have them set that all up because I'll be just running, man. I'm like, somebody else
Right.
could do that. But yeah.
Okay. All
But
right. Yes.
all of it right now they can see on my regular Jamel D Jackson.
On Jamel D. Jackson. Yes, Jamel D. Jackson on Facebook and on Instagram. Please follow him. Make sure you follow him on YouTube. Make sure you follow his podcast. Listen, he got some dope people up there that's going to pour into your life, that are going to show you about the value of relationships. Make sure you pick up his workbook. I already spoke it. I'm speaking it again. You know, my husband and I did a challenge last month. This month, or maybe the next month, I might have to start over into a new month. You know, we're going to be doing his workbook. So if you want to join us, you're welcome to do so. We are praying, people. So we are praying for those of you who did tune in and those who even shared this live. We know God is moving. So just be open to what he's spoken and just go forth. Jamel, thank you so very much for your presence. Thank you so much for your gift, for your servitude, sir. You know, greater things are coming. If you had to leave anything with the viewers, what would you leave them with? You said so much. I mean, but you know.
Man, I would revert back to that statement that was made. Because I think this applies in relationships or just even people trying to pursue their goal, and they may have setbacks and they may not feel like they where they where they want to be.
Right.
So remember, the time that you have left is more valuable than the time that you have spent.
Yes, sir.
You know, I just want to leave them with that, because I think a lot of times that we feel like we done and it's out. And all the years that I've invested in this business, this relationship, this friendship, this family, these kids, how can I move forward? How can I separate from this? And listen, you got to focus the time that you have left, because you're not dead. The fact that you even
That's
listening and
it.
watching this, you're not gone. So what you
Not
have
going.
left is more valuable than what you spent. Is it going to be easy? No, but it's going to be
Right.
worth it.
That's it. That's it. Make sure y'all visit him at his kiosk in the Cumberland Mall. What is it called? Is it called Sleepers for Suckers? What is it called?
Yeah, it's still called Sleeps for Suckers right now,
Okay.
but I'm going to transition the name. It's going to be called the Value Station.
The value. I
So
love
right
that.
now it's Sleep for Suckers, but it's gonna be the Value Station. So everything is gonna be value over there. But if you're in Cumberland Mall in Atlanta, Georgia, we're directly across from Charlotte Roos upstairs. Come see us and come get some of that value. And shout out to my people at Melanie Rainbow. I know y'all can see that.
Oh
This is
yes.
dope gear right here. You know what
Yeah.
I'm
Shout out
saying?
to K Twan. K Twan, I need you up here next, fella. I'm putting
Yeah.
that out there. I need you up there next. Need you up here next. Listen, Mr. Jamel Jackson, thank you so much for coming on. I know I took up a lot of your time. I appreciate you,
You
and I
good.
appreciate you being
Family.
authentic. I appreciate you being genuine. I just appreciate you allowing God to speak through you because, sir, he spoke today. He spoke today.
Yeah.
Lives is changing. I don't care if you don't get an email or I get an email. I know somebody. No way. All this happened and they the same. No way.
Yeah.
We don't even have to hear about the
How can I
accolades.
watch this? Just
You
go
can
back to
watch this on
Facebook Live?
YouTube. You can go to my YouTube channel and it is going to be up there in 4 seconds after we close out.
All
It
right,
will
cool.
be on
Because
the YouTube page.
I'll make
Make
sure
sure
I
you
get a screen
subscribe.
recorder of that, share it.
Yeah, definitely do that. I'm going to send you the link and do your thing. Do your thing. I
All right.
appreciate you, sir. Have a good evening. I will see you very, very soon. You know why. And let's do it.
All right, peace.
All right. Jamel Jackson, everybody. Have a good night.